Shalom, Brukaba, welcome. Oh, speaking of which, hello.
Hello.
Oh, wow, he's on time.
I'm late.
But he's
I came hither.
got a his name is a
Harvey.
little questionable.
That's a lot.
Don't insult my heritage.
Okay.
I'm a proud
Anyway.
knight.
My headset wasn't working, which is why we're a bit late. But also, Christian Gadfly just got here, so we're right on time. Perfect timing. There's a couple new emojis for those who are members. You have your frog and your little baby apostate prophet riding on the Barak. That's pretty based. Should definitely be incentive to get a membership. Anyway, so how you guys been doing?
Cool.
I've
What
slayed
about you?
many dragons. It's going well. Where'd you get that? Or I guess you can't really tell me where you got that mug, but it's very interesting.
It holds a lot of liquid.
What are
It
you
holds
drinking
as much
right now?
liquid.
I mean, you don't have to share with the whole live stream what you're drinking right now, but
Elderberry tea with a splash of honey. Just for you.
oh, you smell of elderberry.
I smell of elderberry. Yes. So, you messed up my joke, so I'll just leave it dead forever. Anyway,
I get too ashamed of screwing up jokes. I'll just go behind my visor here.
I wish StreamYard would show the actual things instead of just having spicy frog. But can't have it all. Does it have caffeine? It does. It's the only caffeine I'm currently drinking. Anyway. So I'm joined by these illustrious gentlemen to go over the law today. We will be doing some based reading of the Bible and maybe making some Zut jokes every once in a while. Especially with Sir Zutz a lot here, going through his heritage. It is the right month. It is a Zut Awareness Month, so.
That's true. That is that's going to be a funny thing. That's going to be a funny day.
Yeah.
Every night in the desert is Zoot Awareness Night.
You gotta watch out for them, man. They hide in the trees. Anyway.
Chris, do you drink coffee at all? Do you like coffee?
No.
Okay.
No, I am a recovering caffeine addict while drinking my mini caffeine.
Okay. So you would not be a taker for that bag of Zit coffee.
No.
That
I really want the Zit coffee though.
I mean, that sounds dark. I bet it's strong.
Something gives you the strength of 30 men.
And it'll keep you up all night long. Well, that's your jingle right there if you're trying to sell it.
That's what the label says.
Let me share that image real quick. Yeah, that made me laugh really hard. I sent it to David, and he actually, I've never seen him do like capital LOL before, but he typed back capital LOL to it.
He's hard to get to laugh, and so when you get him, it's like, because
Yeah.
he's pretty dry.
All right, let me bring up this beauty, this majesty that you sent me. Where is it? There it is. So, this is what you sent me the other day.
Strong dark will give you energy of 30 men. Oh wow, that really says Al Zut on it in Arabic.
It says Zut Chieftain at the bottom.
Did y'all make that with AI?
Oh no, I made that at I work at I'm a coffee roaster. So I thought I'd
cow.
throw that
That's
together.
Awesome. Sell that online,
so
man.
much.
That'll sell like hotcakes
Right.
with David Whitfield.
Yeah.
Shut up and take my money.
Yes. I'll zip coffee.
It's such a great idea for a product. It was perfect too because it's black and it keeps you awake and you say it's strong.
Keeps you going all night.
Yeah.
Makes you feel terrible in the morning afterward. Yeah,
Provides energy. I mean,
absolutely.
that feels divinely elected. That's
Your impressive bookshelf fell.
Oh, it sure did.
While talking about the mandibles, it went limp.
Yeah.
How appropriate. I was about to say you could
Just,
throw some cream in it too. Anyway.
whoa, the whole city just shook behind you.
Yeah, it's the bookshelf. It's the skyline of Jerusalem.
Yeah.
There's none like it, thankfully.
Anyway, now that we got that out of our system, so we're supposed to be going through the law. I don't remember where we actually left off.
I think it was the end of we got through the 10 Commandments last time.
Right. I think we ended right around here. Yeah, let's just start in 18. I guess we start in 17. Because I know we talked about 16 with the whole kidnapping a man, and if you this is an anti-slavery law where the Quran actively endorses slavery. The Bible actively disallows it. You cannot kidnap people and force them into slavery. It's not a thing. Plus, you have the whole Jubilee thing where the slaves go free. But we have, whoever kidnaps a man, you're going to put him to death. So you cannot go wrangle some Africans and force them into slavery the way that the Muhammad and his crew did. And he who curses his father or his mother shall surely be put to death. I've heard that they've never actually implemented this in the law. So even though it's in the law, this is actually just taken a part of this, and with one of the other ones is it brings the power of putting to death a child away from the parents, and it brings it to the courts, because the court has to find the child worthy of death, not just the parents. So if the parents are just angry at their kid, they can't just kill them, which is what people would do for a very long period of time. So the fact that it says, okay, the court is going, there's a couple different laws like this where the court is the one that decides whether the child will live or die. And the court is not going to do it without extraordinarily, evidence and amount of evidence. So this is taken away from the people their right, their ability to kill their kids. So not only does he outlaw child sacrifice, he also outlaws killing your child in general, because that's what the pagans would do. So, and if a man contend with each other and one strikes the other with a stone or with his fist, and he does not die but remains in bed, if he gets up, poop, fart, poopy poo.
I bet you were bad in school. So the class clown would have found you out. It just got you laughing whenever the teacher's trying to teach a lesson.
No, man, I was sleeping or doing other things during class. It was so boring.
I couldn't stop goofing around in class. I got in trouble a lot. All right, sorry, keep going.
I do Rubik's Cubes because I'm a nerd. And I ended up teaching in my pre-cal class one of the other students how to solve Rubik's Cube. That's all that we did the entire semester. And then I would teach him how to do the math afterward because I already knew it. So we would just be she just left us alone. She's like, "Oh, you guys do whatever you want to do." We were just in the back. I didn't know you knew how to recite the Quran. Oh. Anyway. Yeah. You can make me laugh pretty easy. If he gets up and walks around outside of his staff, on his staff, then he who struck him shall go unpunished. He shall only pay for his loss of time, and he shall take care of him until he is completely healed. You as a lawyer, I'm sure this perks your ears up of compensation for damages. But the law compensates you for damages if you are not able to work because of injury. So this is like the ancient get hit by a car, get paid type
But
scenario.
it's just like I would immediately have personal injury clients if they were under this law who I can't walk. Like none of them would be able to walk.
Right.
I fell in Jack in the Box and now I can't walk. Okay. Well, show me how you used to be able to walk. And they get up walking around. Oh, he's healed. No, I had a client one time that was like, well, how did he hurt your arm? What did it do? It just, well, I used to be able to do this. I was like, oh, God.
Oh.
Jeez.
Yeah, so
I've loved all humanity. I don't want to talk bad about anybody, but I've represented some stupid people in my life. Yeah, as we go through this, I can tell you what my clients would do in every situation.
that would be pretty interesting. Go ahead and throw that out there whenever you want. But if for a day or two he is able to stand, no punishment shall be taken, for he is his property.
Now, this is just referring to personal injury of a slave.
Right.
Correct. Okay.
If a man strikes his male or female slave with the rod and he dies at his hand, he shall surely be punished. Hold on, let me change my sensitivity. So I keep scrolling past where I was. If two men strike each other, then you have to pay liability. But if a man strikes his slave with a rod and he dies, he shall surely be punished. But if for a day or two he is able to stand, no punishment shall be taken, for he is his property. And if men strangle with each other and strike a woman with the child so that she gives birth prematurely, if there is no injury, he shall surely be fined as the woman's husband will set for him, and he shall pay as the judges decide. So it is, if you hurt a baby, this gets back into the protection. So in the last stream, I talked about how the law gives protections to all of these minorities and these groups that didn't have any rights in the ancient societies. Here we have, if a man is they're fighting and a woman gets injured who's pregnant and she gives birth prematurely, but the baby lives and the woman's fine, then the husband decides what the person pays and the judge decides if that's fair. And if the judge decides it's fair and the husband agrees to it, then that person will pay that fine because they endangered the child. But if there's any further injury, then you shall pay life for life. Eye for eye, tooth for tooth, hand for hand, foot for foot, burn for burn, bruise for bruise, wound for wound. So if the baby dies, then you can put to death the offender. That's kind of insane. That's giving protections to the unborn in a way that nothing else did.
I've seen this quoted by pro-abortion people that are like, well, it's just a fine for the baby being born premature. Well, it's born premature. It's not necessarily dying. But then it says, but if there's any further injury, like the baby dying.
Right.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, as usual, it's a case of a lot of people not continuing to read on or leaving out some important parts of the verse, because that is the anti-abortion verse in the Old Testament, really. I mean, it's pretty plain and simple.
I want to make it a little distinguishing remark here from my capacity as a lawyer. There's two kinds of law. There's legislative. Well, there's a bunch of kinds of law, but legislative law, which is like where a legislator writes it out. And then there's case law, where specific cases happen, and then a judge will rule on a specific fact pattern. And then that'll become precedent for future cases. And that's usually way more specific than whatever the legislator is doing. And a lot of the stuff that you're reading in the Bible, it looks like case law. Like this looks like a case that happened where somebody ran into a pregnant woman and she gave birth. And then they were like, well, what do we do? And so then they recorded. The funniest looking case law from the Torah I can remember, it was one where it's like a woman grabs a guy's nuts and twists them. Okay, you know what I'm talking about? I remember reading that and I go, what was that case? Because it's a very obviously case law. It's not just legislation. It's like, so this happened.
Yeah, it makes me wonder how much of this is divine dictation from like on Sinai versus just later things that were compiled in this section because they were in the desert for 40 years and he was doing case law that entire time. He was a judge that entire time. So is that case law that God inspired in that process being added to the Torah in these different books?
Something else I've heard from like Mike Heiser and Tim Mackey with Bible Project is that the ancient Near Eastern law kind of worked like guidelines too. And so it didn't have like because you didn't have like a super organized nation state like you do now with super organized legal system. And so you would just have these things set out as a precedent. And then you would look at them to see, well, what sorts of values do we have as a society? And then you get the law to see that. And so it might not necessarily go down like any of these things in particular, but it just would be, they would use, it's like the Pirates Code. It's more like guidelines anyway.
Yeah. Israel is definitely more structured than a lot of the other societies around them. But even then, the judicial system is mostly focused on fairness and justice, primarily, which is why there's more prohibitions against bribery and judges being unjust than any other Near Eastern legal system that there was. And it's still like way higher than most of the other like semi-modern systems that came out.
We talk about awesome things Jews invented, and one I think is the alphabet, because I think Proto-Sinaitic was invented by Jews. But another is tort law, because I mean, maybe other civilizations had it, but you have like the super organized tort law system. So a tort just means you're not necessarily going to prison, but you have to pay somebody back for damage that you did. And so I know there's like one, it might come up later. Maybe I shouldn't be bringing it up yet, but I know there's a law in the Torah where like if the ox gets out and it gores somebody, it's bad. But then if it does it a second time, then you really like, maybe you're liable for manslaughter or something. Like it ratchets up your liabilities. And it's because they see that there's more and more negligence, the more knowledge you have of how bad your bull is. And so with the first one, it's like, well, sometimes you just have a bad bull and you didn't know. But if it's happened before, then it now has become negligent on the owner to have this bull and not keep it tied up or in a fence well enough. And so it ratchets up the punishment and the payment.
Exactly. In the Torah, and the punishment the second time, I think, is death for the owner who was negligent.
Like you're murdering. Yeah.
Right. Because you like willingly and knowingly knew that this ox would gore. Yeah.
Sebastian brought up keeping your mental state in mind when trying to figure out these punishments is so intelligent too.
Yeah, the law is so base, it's hard to even fathom. Sebastian brings up the Genesis 1:26, and it says, "Let us make." It literally says, "We will make." Correct. So, getting into that, it is singular, that plural language, but the us can't be God and the angels because it's being applied in a way where it's only ever God. So God is in the plural, but it can't be God and angels. It can only be God, which is why I think the divine council view for creation is weak. Like from the Hebrew side of it. I think in my last Trinity video, or in my Hebrew series I went over that. I think my Trinity video in my Hebrew series, I went over that. If you want to check that, it's like episode 5 in the Hebrew series. But yeah. So, as you were mentioning, it does ratchet up for if you're being negligent, and that it comes up in the law itself, but this is the abortion verse. The Bible is anti-abortion. Outright. There's nothing in the New Testament that tones this down. It's just anti-abortion. Yeah. So,
aren't there other places where it says, a life for a life besides here? Or is this the only time it says it and it's quoted by the Quran?
There's somewhere else.
I'm assuming it's in Deuteronomy as well, because Deuteronomy is a summary of the other 4 books.
Yeah, it quotes the other ones a lot.
Yeah, it's known as the mini Torah, because it's basically just like if you were to read only Deuteronomy, you would get the gist of what the Torah was about.
Well, that's the etymology of the name Deuteronomy, isn't it? Like deuteros or something.
Yes. Well, the Deuteronomy, I'm not sure what the Romanomy would be. Etymology.
Nomos.
Law. Second law.
Yeah,
I was
nomos
just about
law.
to say that.
Yes, it's the second law, second Torah.
But that's not at all. That in Hebrew, they just pick the beginning of whatever the book is for the name.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like Bereshit, and then
right. It's the first word of each one.
Midbar.
Yeah, Bereshit, Shemot, Bimidbar. Yakira,
Vaikra, and then
Bimidbar, and then
Devarim.
Devarim. Yeah. Oh, my pronunciation's horrible. You know, it is what it is. Anyway, yes, it's just the first word of each one. So,
or the first significant word.
Right.
Because like Exodus, it's Ve'ele Shemot. And then
it starts with and.
Yeah, and Ele,
yeah.
these were the names of the tribes or sons of Israel that went down into Egypt.
Ve'ele Shemot.
So it's named after this word.
Yeah.
Not the other one. Anyway. So we have that. But if a man strikes his slave and the slave dies, he still is punished. So he will be punished if you kill your slave by beating it to death, which also elevates the status of a slave. You can't beat a slave to death, which is the very thing that Moses killed the Egyptian slave master for doing. He was beating a slave to death. And now we have in the law that you can't beat a slave to death. So again, as we mentioned in the last stream, the Bible is not pro-slavery. It allows slavery in a very strict system that usually is more akin to indentured servitude. The type of slavery that every other society practiced is not good. It's not kosher in the law itself. Anti-abortion, and then continuing on. And if he knocks out a tooth for his male or female slave, he shall let him go free on account of his tooth. So if you injure your slave permanently or in a permanent way, like let's say you whip off a finger, you break off a tooth, an eye, whatever, you allow them to go free. So this is again giving protections against slaves against cruel punishment.
I'd be in there in the barn with some tongs, just like right after my beating, you know.
Just loosen it real quick and then say something, so he just smacks it out real quick. Yeah. Yeah. So we have these protections again for slaves. It does not seem like this is like a pro-slavery book. Every mention of slaves in it is usually either a protection or a limitation of what you can do with slaves. It's not you can go have intercourse with them, go beat them. They're not even human. They're dhimmis. Like they don't have any of that. You have protection. And you do that for women, children, animals too. It's pretty amazing.
If Mike Heiser and Tim Mackey are correct, then you could take something like this and go, well, the principle here is if you treat them badly enough, they go free, right? You don't literally have to rip their tooth out.
Right.
So that would be the idea.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's pretty insane. Yeah. So basically you wouldn't do giant painful stuff. Yeah. You would lose. And then slaves are fairly expensive. So you wouldn't mistreat them. You have a reason in the law to treat your slaves as humans, because the whole point of the Torah is that all humans are made in the image of God. All humans have worth. All humans have value. Treat humans like humans. Don't treat us like animal. So, and also elevate the status of animals and plants in the world. God's creation is important to God. That's the whole purpose of the law. And if an ox gores a man or a woman to death, the ox shall surely be stoned, and its flesh shall not be eaten, but the owner of the ox shall go unpunished. If, however, an ox was previously in the habit of goring, and its owner has been warned, yet he does not confine it or puts it a man and woman to death, the ox shall be stoned, and its owner shall be put to death. So, as you mentioned earlier, here it is. If you know that your animal is, like, if you know a situation is dangerous and you don't do anything about it, and this is the same thing, I think it also mentions later on that if you have a stone on the edge of your roof that you haven't secured, if it falls over and like kills someone, you would be put to death that.
If you have a flat roof, you're supposed to put up a wall around it.
So you're supposed to put up a wall around it so no one. Yeah. So
Yeah,
there's
yeah.
so many things about being negligent as well. So you're not just supposed to be intentional about your relations between people. You're supposed to be intentional with your entire life and how you go about it. So your intentionality with God, with the sacrifices, with your relationship with God, with your relationship with the priest, because they have certain sacrifices just to help the relationship between man and priest. And then also your relationship with foreigners, strangers, slaves, animals. The Torah is all encompassing in how you interact in this world, and it leads to a better society that's more focused on God, more focused on relationship, and more focused on duty and thinking through problems. It's how you raise IQ versus other systems that lower IQ. This one would actually make people more intelligent. You think through before something happens. You're
There's
proactive.
also kind of an invitation and what's just an element of Jewish culture where they kind of invite debate all the time. And you're supposed
Right.
to wrestle with God. It's even in the name Israel. A Jewish friend of mine told me that wherever you have 3 Jews, you have 12 opinions. It's super good for your mind, though, and that's why there's so many
Right.
good Jewish attorneys. Is because they're raised in a culture where you sit there and challenge ideas and assess pros and cons and these sorts of things.
The Islamic relationship with animals. Any response?
Everybody,
Hello
it
there,
is
goat.
true. Like it's kind of a thing, right? The Jewish attorney, very well known, uh, uh, whatever, well known thing, but statistically, uh, it's been proven that Muslims are actually the best attorneys, but it's not for why you would think. It's because uh, Muslims literally worship Allah. And I'll just be going. Oh, hey guys.
Oh,
I
dad
think
joke of the
not
year.
only are they marrying their cousins, but you also have a fear-based system, and so there's no exploration, intellectually speaking, because so I can't go too far that way. It's like Yasser Qadi.
Oh,
Gosh, he's just like he's gimped everywhere. Like you can't go in any direction too far without stepping on an eggshell that makes his entire community want to kill him. And it was like, how can you grow intellectually in an environment like that? You can't. You stunt your
what's the
growth.
guy's name? Ghazali or something like that. He's
Oh,
a like a 9th century
I'll
Islamic
yeah.
scholar. Yeah.
William Lane
He
Craig calls him Ghazali, I think.
Ghazali.
But
Sure,
that
let's go with that.
doesn't. Sometimes he pronounces things weird, so who knows if that's correct? But
Oh, I doubt it's right.
Ghazali.
Yeah. He is famous, well, maybe infamous, for saying basically if reason goes against the law, you reject the reason. But he also considered it haram to do science. He called it natural philosophy, which is like the old terminology for it. But if you were to do natural philosophy, you're basically you're doing haram things because it gets you
Mm.
away from Allah because science disproves Allah.
So compare that with like Jewish tradition about Abraham and the people of Sodom and Gomorrah, where if you read in the commentaries, they'll say things. So Yahweh says to the 2 angels that are with him, "Shall we tell Abraham about what we're about to do?" They
Mhm.
don't answer, but then the next scene, he's telling Abraham what he's going to do, and then Abraham starts debating with him. And so the rabbinic commentaries are like, God is inviting Abraham to advocate on behalf of humanity, and God
Mhm.
wants Abraham to argue with him. He wants him
Mhm.
to debate with him. So it's a whole, and so God's perceived like a father, and he invites you to debate with him and wrestle with him. It's just a completely different God than Allah, where everything is
Mm.
fear based. Like God wants you to love him and be obedient to him, right? And not be uh disrespectful and rude, but he also wants you to advocate for yourself and advocate for other people and wrestle with him,
Mhm.
Mm.
which actually grows you intellectually instead of just
Mm.
living in fear, shaking, and never thinking.
Yeah.
And it makes you like Christ. You're like a little Christ, a Christian.
Right. I do think that he's not actually talking to the angels, but he's just talking to himself. Personally, I would say it's the son talking to the father there.
Yeah.
But yeah, either way, we do have him literally like being a type of Christ there and interceding for the people. And it's pretty based. That's a
Mm.
really cool passage, especially because Yahweh's on earth. So,
Mm.
yeah. Yeah.
And Abraham, who's the father of the nations, who has the seed of the serpent's lair of Genesis 3 within him, is advocating on behalf of Gentiles right before
Yep.
Yahweh.
Mhm.
And interesting quote, since we're talking about the Torah, Abraham serves him meat and dairy at the same meal,
Mhm.
Oh,
and
interesting.
God eats it.
Mhm.
But the rabbis, of
Weird.
course, do debate on whether he waited, I think, say 18 or some say 16 minutes between when he had
Make it
the one or
kosher.
the other.
But it is pre
Yeah.
the law anyway.
Right.
Mm.
Yeah.
But the law is supposed to be like eternal.
Mm.
Well, I mean, it's not, but
I
yeah.
mean, if the law is a demonstration of uh, God's essence, really, then even if God had not given it at that time, or that commandment per se at that time, it still would have been weird for God to do something that he later said that
Right.
people shouldn't do.
Right. It's a bit different for like the incest argument because no matter what view you have of creation, whether it's just Adam
Mm.
and Eve or it's like a cohort of people, at the flood they definitely did incest. So you have to say that God planned the flood in a way where, and we have this genetic evidence for it. We have the chromosomal Adam and the mitochondrial Eve in our genetic
Mm.
lineage. Every human goes back to one woman and one man genetically, which is pretty insane to think about. And so at some point in history, all of our mitochondrial DNA comes from one woman, and all of our Y chromosomal DNA comes from one man.
Hmm.
That seems to be bottlenecked around the flood. But if you don't want to say it's the flood, and you want to push it back to Adam and Eve, you can. We have evidence that they didn't live at the same time. So you might say that the chromosomal Adam is Noah and the mitochondrial Eve is literally Eve, but that's its own debate. Either way, there's this incest happening at that point in time, and Abraham practiced incest. He married his sister. And God never said it was a sin, but later on, he does say incest is a sin. So why is there a discrepancy between the Old Testament, where the law is given, and the Old Testament where the law is not given? In my view, it's just that it's not inherently sinful to do incest in and of itself. It only became bad because we were like it has negative effects of doing it, as we
Genetically,
see in
right.
the Muslim community with the 1400 years of inbreeding. You end up with incredibly low IQs and birth defects.
Mm.
Like Pakistanis in UK make up 80% of birth defects. And they're not that large of a population. It is an insane amount. And then there's a famous clip from Tom Robinson. He's like, I'm not going to repeat it because he uses profanity, and I don't use profanity even in quotation. But yeah, it's pretty funny. I recommend check that out. Anyway, so I would say that that's not actually like a absolute moral, and I would also say that the law itself is not black and white. It's not meant to be black and white either. It's meant to be an interpretive framework because there are going to be edge cases that if you take it literally, you're being either too merciful or too forceful in your ruling. Because there's edge cases of just like barely in one camp or barely in another camp or accidentally in one or the other. And if you're doing too black and white, then you're being a bad judge in that instance. So I would say that the law is not meant to be that.
There's a joke in law school. They say the answer to every question is "it depends." Well, what's the answer? It depends.
Right. Yeah, which is why we have the Holy Spirit to help us figure out what it depends on and how to deal with it, which is pretty based. Yeah. So they carry the inbreeding with them, like they still in the UK keep doing it. Yeah, they do. There is a lot of inbreeding. Well, Ilhan Omar, I believe, is uh, incestuous, which is why she's like being tried, because in the state of Minnesota they have anti-incest laws, and she broke it by marrying either her cousin or her brother. I don't remember which
See,
one.
I've heard that, and with that all the way that stuff is nowadays, if I hear something, it's like, okay, I'll give it a week of research and make up my own mind on it. But I have heard that she's married to her brother, and I thought, well, I mean, that sounds kind of outrageous. They're a little too convenient for like the opposing side to say. But when I looked into it, and this was a while ago, I looked into it. It was like there wasn't enough information one way or the other for me to solidly make up my mind. But the fact that people are still saying that, I don't know. I'd like to do more research, but it sounds like she is actually married to her brother. But I don't think it's a romantic relationship. I think it was more of like an opportunistic get the guy into the country type thing. But again, that's my research is like a year old at this point, and I
Right.
didn't do too much because it to me I'm just like, people do weird stuff, and I focus on other
Yeah.
things. But it would be important if that, I mean, if that's true, that's kind of a big deal, but
Indeed. Yeah. Like, you should not be doing it with your brother. Hot take, I know. Anyway. Yeah. So if a ransom is demanded of him, then he shall give for the redemption of his life whatever is demanded of him. Whether it gores a son or a daughter, it shall be done to him according to the same judgment. If the ox gores a male or female slave, the owner shall give his or her master 30 shekels of silver, and the ox shall be stoned.
Oh,
So,
interesting.
yeah, this
So
is
30 pieces of silver. That's what Jesus was sold for.
that's the price of a slave.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Jesus is sold for the price of a slave to redeem humanity.
Now, where it says, whether it gores a son or a daughter, it shall be done to him according to the same judgment. So if your ox gores someone, they're going to gore you. Is that what that means?
Or your daughter. That is a very literal interpretation of it.
Okay.
I've heard lots of different interpretations from this. The Jews typically, they don't necessarily spiritualize, but they don't typically take the Torah literally, like word for word literally.
Well, that's what I
They
was saying
have,
earlier with like Mike Heiser and Tim
right.
Mackey, where they're talking about how you use it as a guideline.
Yeah, they have interpretive lenses that they filter all of the law through. I do think that they are way off on some of it, but for all of this stuff, for like the life for life, eye for eye, tooth for tooth, they always point to it being a monetary compensation, not a punishment for punishment compensation, because there are cases where it couldn't be done in that way. So, for example, a one-eyed man, if you were to take out his second eye, that is a significantly worse punishment than someone who had two eyes. You took out one of them. So one of it's partially blinding, one of them's fully blinding. Those are not equal punishments. So what do you do in that case? The way that the
Yeah, I
Talmud
definitely
deals with
think.
it,
Oh, sorry.
they just basically say, how would this affect the price of a slave? And then you use that amount of money to then pay the cost.
So I'm looking at 31, and it wouldn't be to, I don't think it would be to his son or daughter. So it says, O vain yigach. So if, where was I? Okay. If son is gored or daughter gored, according to judgment, this due to him, lo is to him.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it would be done to
Is it
the
not
guy.
referencing the previous verse where it's the redemption of his life, whatever is demanded of him? Is that's what I was thinking when it
Yeah,
says
I think
according
it's
to the
the
same
guy who
judgment?
owns the bull, yeah, or owns the ox.
Mm.
Right. So it shall be done to him the same judgment.
Oh,
Maybe if
I
it
think what it
if
means
it
is
does
to
it to a
treat the son and
child.
daughter whether it's a son or a daughter, treat it the same. Gore the dude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or if it's a child. So if it gores a man, you do all these things. So if it gores a man or a woman, then the person is to be killed. If it does it to a child, you also have them like be killed or ransomed.
Oh, okay.
If I remember correctly, I'm pretty sure. That'd be something to look deeper into. I do, because it has this protection all the time, is it gives children the rights of adults. Not in a like, well, it does in the property sense sometimes too for inheritance, but it also does it for the value sense. Like the son and daughter here are now valued the same as an adult, which would not have been the case in most of the cultures back then. Children were not as valuable as adults because children couldn't work the same as adults and they couldn't reproduce. And, infant mortality was pretty high. So there's a decent chance your kid's not going to live to adulthood at all. Like my uncle died in childhood. He was like 9 when he died. And that was only like 60 years ago, whatever it was. And yet, this is thousands of years ago. Infant mortality was way higher. Toddler mortality was pretty high as well. But it's still saying, even if this person hasn't made it to adulthood yet, they still have value. If the ox gores a male or female slave, the owner shall give his or her master 30 shekels of silver, and the ox shall be stoned. If a man opens a pit, or if the man digs a pit and does not cover it over, and an ox or donkey falls into it, the owner of the pit shall make restitution. He shall give money to its owner, and the dead animal shall become his. Which is part of the reason why they interpret the restitution being always financial, is because a lot of these other restitutions are financial. Also, thank you so much, Margaret, for gifting a membership. That's awesome. Thank you.
And for any viewers watching, just so you know, the word restitution just means to give money to put someone back in the position they would be in if the other person had not been negligent. And we use restitution damages even now, like in contracts, a whole lot of contracts. The damages are restitution damages. And something else to point out with this is so cattle are really skittish of humans. It probably wasn't that often that somebody would get gored to death, but you can get basic principles for this and just come up with tort law and negligence law. So, if it says if this guy digs a pit and your animal falls in it, then you have to, and it hurts the animal or kills the animal, you have to pay the value of the animal. What are we learning from that? If you do something negligent and stupid and it causes damage to somebody else, then you need to put them back in the position they would be in, but for you not having acted negligently.
Right.
And so it's basically creating negligence law. And it's a specific example, but you would be able to, in the ancient society, take that and apply it more broadly. Take those precepts and apply them more broadly, and just use that as an example.
You also have that with stealing. So if they steal, they have to give it back plus multiple times extra to not only restore what they had, but then to be a deterrent to show, hey, you have to pay even extra on top of it. So it's not just, I get caught and then you give it back and then that's a punishment, because that's not a punishment. To be punished, you then have to pay what that thing was worth multiple times over. So if you steal a bull, you have to pay multiple bulls. That's pretty expensive. You pay like fine jewelry, you have to pay for fine jewelry. That's very expensive. So the more covetous the item is, the more worth it has, the higher the fine is. So if you steal a loaf of bread, it's not that big of a deal. If you steal a cow, that's a pretty big deal. So
although in those days, a loaf of bread take a lot of work. So you pay back that loaf and then 4 others. That'd be like 2 days of not having to make bread.
Yep. It's pretty expensive. Yeah. So if one man's ox hurts another so that it dies, then they sell the live ox and divide its price equally. So, and also they shall divide the dead ox. So you get half of both the price of it and also the hide and food and leather and like all the fun stuff from a cow, the bone. Or if it is known that the ox was previously in the habit of goring, yet its owner had not confined it, he shall surely pay ox for ox, and the dead animal shall become his. Now he has to pay for the entirety of the live animal, which is more expensive than a dead ox. The dead ox, you only get food a little bit. A live ox, this is one of the weird things for ox is a bull and an ox are technically the same thing. It's male cattle. Cattle is the species name. A cow is not actually the species name. Cows are just the females. So male cattle can be called either an ox or a bull. It's called an ox when it doesn't have its testicles. If they crush or cut off the testicles, it's an ox. If the testicles are intact, it's a bull. That's the only difference between them. So this
that's
is just
interesting to me though, because isn't there a Torah prohibition on castrating your animals?
ooh,
Because
I
then
don't
would that possibly
think
mean
so.
that these definitions are would be
It would have to be
different
for bull.
Hebraically?
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure there's a prohibition against castrating animals.
We certainly castrate them today.
Yeah, because it keeps them more tame whenever they're doing work.
You really only need one really good bull. Actually, we one time had a neighbor that had this prize rodeo bull, and it got into our pasture and it was mating with all our cattle, and we just didn't say anything for the longest time. Finally, the other guy contacted, "Hey, did my bull get up?" Yeah, he might have. He's been over there just going wild on our cattle for weeks. Get all these amazing calves, amazing babies.
So this is the verse that got pulled up. Anything with its testicles bruised or crushed or torn or cut, you shall not bring near Yahweh, and you shall not do thus in your land. So this bit is definitely about sacrifice.
Maybe bringing them to Yahweh is what you shouldn't do in your land.
Right. This is for sure about, well, this is the section on sacrifice itself. So we have, you shall not sacrifice anything that is, testicles destroyed.
Okay.
I don't know if this would imply that you can't do it at all, because if it does, then every use of aleph there, every use of ox would be bull. It just would have to be by default. I don't remember if there's a different word in Hebrew for bull versus ox.
So ox is short, and bull.
This is
Behema.
Behema. That's just cattle. I think that's just the word for cattle.
Yeah, just the animal. You don't have to use it for animals in general.
Is ox.
Because behemoth, behemoth.
Behemoth. That's the plural.
That's the big dude in Job. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, what is bull? No, there is a word for bull. It's
It should also be aleph, isn't it?
No.
Oh, that would make sense because it is a cow head or the bull head.
Right, which is where it's coming from.
Yeah, but what am I thinking of? There's a different word. If you go to Leviticus 23, yeah, par. Yeah. That's the word I'm thinking of. So okay, so then I wonder if we define par and short and see what the difference between the definitions there would answer.
This is all right. So just going through the law real quick. Every time it uses bull, it says par. Yeah, par. Yeah. So bull is par. Shore
and
is
ox. Shore.
And then aleph is also bull/ox in the Egyptian and the Paleo-Hebrew. I know that because that's why it has the bull head.
Yeah, I think it might be like an old word though.
Right.
You know, like some of those weird words that show up in Job that
no one ever uses.
If you've ever read Job in Hebrew and you're like, what?
Yeah.
This is really weird.
It's the interesting evidence that it was written way early that almost no one knows about.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Anyway, nice little tangent.
Yeah.
So I don't know. That is really interesting, though. I'll look more into can we crush the testicles of cows or not? Not cows, Cattle.
Well, because I know, I mean, this would be a good thing for me to get updated on because our dog is a lady, and we kind of took that commandment to females as well, so she's not fixed. And
Oh Lord, have
there's like
mercy.
2 or 3 times a year where that becomes very inconvenient. So
We might have just found your loophole, my man. Just don't sacrifice her. You're good. Get them out. The two clumps of problems. Boy, cats are so gross if you don't get them fixed. I don't want to go into it on live stream in front of everybody. Get your cat fixed. Oh my God. It's so gross. It's so annoying. The sounds. I'd be like, sorry, Yahweh, this one's getting sacrificed. Here.
Rip them
Just
off.
find that guy with the bad ox that's goring everybody. And just put your cat in there with it. Like, don't worry, bro. I'm gonna charge you any money for this.
Pretty sure that'd be negligence, but you know.
Yeah, I'll pay you to let your ox gore this cat.
Yeah.
Also, one of the regular viewers, Little Kitten, is on it right now. I'm assuming it's a woman, but that's pretty funny. Yeah. So, if a man steals an ox or a sheep and slaughters it or sells it, he shall pay 5 oxen for the ox and 4 sheep for the sheep. So again, if he steals, then there are these heavy fines. 5 oxes is a ridiculous sum.
Yeah.
If it was bulls, that would be even more. That'd be outrageous.
That's like $100,000 in the angel world. That's tons of money. That's
it is
much.
so much money. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
you could get
today,
like 10
if you
wives
think
for
about
this. Yeah. Brother, it's so like the law has very heavy punishments for lots of different things. And this is to be a deterrent, but it's not the type of deterrent.
Stealing somebody's groceries for a month, it's a big deal. You're
Right.
gonna starve some family.
Yeah.
And one of
That
their
could
best
cause
employees.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Their tractor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're taking their livelihood and their food.
Ripping up their farm and destroying the tractor. Yeah, and then you have to basically like pay for several other farms for the person if you get caught. If the thief is caught while breaking in and is struck so that he dies, there will be no blood guiltness on his account.
Jeez.
One of the most based verses in the Bible.
It's that stand your ground law.
Stand your ground law in the Bible. There you go. But if the sun has risen on him, there will be blood guiltness on his account. He shall surely make restitution. If he owns nothing, then he shall be sold for his theft. So again, restitution, even though he killed the person, this might be a legal precedent to show that there is financial compensation for some of the death penalties. Although you can take the death penalties literally. But he can be sold into slavery to pay off his debt. This is, again, a form of indentured servitude, which he would still go free. Even for murder, he would go free after 6 years. That would be the longest he could serve.
It wouldn't be for murder, would it? It would be for
for killing the person who came into his home. Right.
Oh, I thought this was for taking the bull.
No, so this is if a thief is caught sneaking in and you kill him,
Yeah.
then so on, it's fine. But if he's done, if a thief steals your property while it's daytime and you kill him, then you are guilty of killing him. So you have to pay restitutions. If you killed him and you don't own enough to make a restitution for his life, then you will be sold to pay for the thing.
See how that seems like it would apply to the thief?
Yeah, I do see that right there.
Yes,
if the sun
see.
has risen on him, there would be blood guiltness on his account. He shall surely make restitution.
So there's just blood guiltiness on account of the guy.
Right,
but then back to
of
the
the guy.
thief, he shall surely make restitution because he has to put restitution doesn't make any sense for a murder. But
I think what it's saying is if it's nighttime and there's somebody wrestling around in your house, you don't know if they're a thief or they could be, all sorts of terrible things. And if
it's daytime, don't kill him. Yeah.
If it's daytime and you say, "Oh, like, what are you doing here? I'm steal. I broke into steal." Okay, well, like, I can't just kill you because you broke into steal.
Right.
Uh-huh.
And so then you
You can
arrest the thief,
capture
and
him,
the
arrest him.
thief has to make a.
Yeah, especially whenever you think about it, this is going to be happening mostly in either an urban or a suburban environment. It's not going to be like
Hmm.
completely rural. So it wouldn't be on someone's farm. It'd most likely be in a city. So if
What form
there's
of beef would it have to be for you to go into slavery to get a hold of it?
a beef,
Yeah. I was like, because you're going for the cow. What do you have in mind that would you be like, you know what? I'm going to risk slavery for this. Because for me, it's fajitas. I'm not even going to lie. I'd be going, well, I
You know,
could get
it's
fajitas at it.
it sounds like a funny question, but I was just talking about this with my wife the other day. With this, I don't remember how it came up, but we were talking about like people still. Oh, I think because there's been a lot of car break-ins in our neighborhood lately, which is really
Mhm.
weird. Uh, but then we were like, people still steal cars? There's like ring cameras on almost every front door. And there's really no way to get away with it. And so then we're like, oh, but so you'd have to steal it, and then you'd have a place to drive it and strip it and quickly
Right,
sell all the stuff, or
chop chop.
because
Yeah,
yeah, because it's just like stealing cars, but it happens. I mean, it's happening right now, and it's just humans are they're not really all that great.
no, they're not. I ask all the time why Jesus was like willing to die for us. Like that
Yeah.
makes no sense to me.
Cow
I'd
juice
say
enthusiast. What kind of beef would you be willing to go into slavery for? You didn't answer the question.
Well, my opinion is very unpopular in my household because to me, beef is beef. And I didn't learn about like how to cook a steak properly until my wife grew up liking filet mignon and like
Mm.
properly prepared. And I grew up where my dad would go to Kroger and get the cheapest. I mean, you could already tell it's not going to be good. It's like this thin and it's already curling in the package. And then you put it on, you put it in the pan, it just kind of turns into like a beef bowl that's just like pure. But I mean, you put salt on it and it's like, oh, I don't know,
Still
I
pretty
think that's
good,
good.
yeah.
Yeah, I think it's pretty good. So
But you'd
I
want
had
one of
to
those
learn
beef
how to cook
bowls?
it. Oh
Oh,
no.
sorry, I'm
the
interrupting you. Okay, what kind
No, no,
of?
no. The beef bowl, yeah, that no, as a thing, yes, but I'm talking about a literal the beef just kind of shrivels up in the pan into like this like if you've ever fried bologna before and it
Mhm.
goes whoop like
Yeah,
so these steaks would do that and then you just put like some salt and pepper on it, you're like this is pretty good.
that's what
But
you're
my
dreaming
what
of as you go into slavery. Is a
yeah,
beef? Is
I
beef
mean
your
bowl?
to
beef
me beef is
bowls.
beef. I would
Uh,
do it for a beef bowl or more for a fillet. uh
how about you, Chris?
So I guess I kind of still am. I was a chef for a bit. Um,
oh
I have cooked every form of beef you can imagine in so many different ways. I've had A5 Wagyu uh prepare that was $240 for
wow.
3 ounces. I
Wow.
have
That's worse than
had
slavery right there.
I've had steak in every single way possible. I don't care for it
What?
myself.
Really?
I do not care for beef in
Not even
general.
like a hamburger?
I will only eat hamburgers that I make because I add so many things to it to make it good that if it's just like beef smashed with salt and pepper, I would not enjoy that.
What about like garlic
Wow.
salt, seasoned salt, Tony Chachere's? Does that
I
start
mean,
to
if you
get?
throw in Tony C's on it, like, come on now,
And then
it's a
chop
different
up, mince up some
product.
garlic,
Yeah,
caramelize it, mix that
right.
with
Yeah,
the. Okay,
yeah. No, so what my you go through my traditional burger recipe.
sure.
All right, so I throw down some
This is what he would go into
ground.
slavery for, people.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, sure. This is the only beef that I would like be like, oh yeah, that's great. So I ground sirloin, so I don't make it with chuck, none of that nonsense. I grind sirloin down. That has around 20 to 30% fat. I throw in a little bit of butter, mix it around to get a little bit higher fat content. Then I throw in some Dijon mustard, some chili powder, some garlic powder, some onion powder, a little bit of sweet pickle relish,
Hmm.
some mayonnaise, and some panko crumbs to give a little
Oh.
bit more texture and to absorb some of the fat so it remains more juicy throughout the cook. And then salt and pepper and I think that's all the spices I typically use. I do that. I do quarter pound burgers I cook it for exactly a medium to a medium well because my wife doesn't really like the pink for burgers. So typically around a medium well. And then
The sirloin meat, it wouldn't matter as much. It's way cleaner.
Right. Yeah. So it's usually towards a medium well. And then I throw down a thing of pepper jack cheese, a fried egg on brioche buns that are toasted, and then a little bit of burger sauce on the tops of it. And
then what happens to your testosterone levels after you eat something like that?
They raise dramatically, yes. So that's the only form of steak I eat is a burger because I grind it up.
With a fried egg on it, too.
With a fried egg on it, yeah. So it's very delicious. I highly recommend it. Most people who would eat it. And then if you really want to get fancy, you could throw on some sauerkraut or coleslaw. If you throw on some sweet and tangy coleslaw on the bottom, and it replaces the pickle texture. It's still kind of crunchy, but since there's pickle relish in the burger, my wife doesn't like any topping. So I have to grind everything up and put it in the meat to trick her to enjoy the toppings.
You should have been a lawyer. You're all about loopholes.
Right. Yeah. I'm a chef loopholer because my wife doesn't like anything. So I have to get her to eat food that she enjoys. So she eats it with just buns and the patty, and that's it.
Wow.
So all the fixings, all the sauce, everything else is just in the food already. I'll also throw bacon bits in it. So I make a bacon cheeseburger.
What isn't in this burger?
It's delicious.
Not everything in there.
It's awesome. Yeah. It's an improved recipe from the restaurant that I worked at. So anyway. That's the beef I would go to slavery or risk slavery for, I guess. If I had to pick one. It's quite good. You do really high sear at the end too to get nice caramelization. Nice Maillard on the top and bottom. Throw it on. Slightly tangy, slightly sweet, crunchy, crispy, meaty, cheesy. It's good. Anyway. So
everything
anyway,
but the piggy sprinkles you had me on that one. But
I can omit those for you if you come over. I worked in a Greek and Italian steakhouse. And then I've been cooking since I was like knee high and whatnot, but I was a sous chef. So up there, that's what I did before I went into my current job, which is AI research. And now I do this online. So
okay.
Little lore dump from my background. Yeah, I cook like French food all the time. I'm like a fancy bougie chef. Anyway.
You'd hate my food. It's like Velveeta cheese and
I made a cheesecake for myself today. It's amazing. If you guys ever come over to my house, I'll make you a chicken parm and garlic risotto.
That is one thing I've never enjoyed is chicken parmesan. I just really can't. For me, chicken breasts are just there's just too much not tasty meat there. And then you put all that fancy stuff all over them and inside of them and everything, but there's still like that thick, huge bite of just kind of.
See, you're doing it wrong. There's so many problems with what you just said about chicken parm. There's so many better ways.
There's gonna be a fight on this live stream. Everybody, look away.
Gotta pound that thing to like a quarter of an inch thick. Like you really pound it thin, and then you salt it to remove all the oxygen. So it's just a juice bomb mixed with really delicious breadcrumbs and topped with good cheese and good tomato sauce. Granted, I typically mix bacon bits into my breadcrumbs. So whenever I fry it, you get bacon fat on the chicken, but I can again omit that for you if you come over. I will make you kosher food that will still
is cheating though
you.
Too, because bacon makes everything taste better. So it's not really
it's not healthy, but it's amazing. Yeah, that or bibimbap. Bibimbap is also pretty A tier beef quality. You never had it?
Are you talking about that Korean food?
Mm-hmm. It's a rice bowl.
Do you think that's really what they name their food? Or do they like making fun of us? I don't know if it's real. I think they have hidden cameras in those places and they put this stuff on the menu. Yeah, I'd like the bibimbap, and they're just like looking at each other. Stupid white people. Sounds so stupid.
No, I only learned about it because my grandfather served in Korea. And he's like, So what was your favorite part of being in Korea? It's like, oh, I really loved their food. Like the bibimbap was my favorite. I was like, huh, I wonder what that is. So then I
Oh,
cooked it. My
really?
wife
Okay.
has been obsessed with it since. So again with a fried egg, it's very, very yummy. Anyway, don't need to turn this into a food stream, but I
Yeah.
absolutely
I
could.
derailed us
I'm
again.
debating on if I want to make like a food channel. Have not yet made it yet.
Feeding a lion.
No. I don't actually know if I want to bring out this term. Someone might snag it from me, but it's the hungry theologian.
Oh, yeah.
I thought that was cute,
Mm.
but I have the
Hey,
website
you could
domain
tie
already.
in, you know, you could tie in theology to the cooking.
Yep, that was the plan. That's
That'd be
the
pretty
idea.
cool.
Yeah, I just don't have the studio set up to make that yet, but
Mm.
hopefully in the future I'll make a cooking channel. Anyway, so the law.
Yes.
Tangent. Anyway, so if what he stole is actually found alive in his hand, whether an ox or a donkey or a sheep, he shall pay double. So if it's not dead, you pay double. If it is dead, you pay 5 to 4 times. So 2 to 5 times the cost of the animal if you steal. If a man lets a field or vineyard be grazed bare, and lets his animal loose so that it grazes in another man's field, he shall make restitution from the beast, best of his own field and the best of his own vineyard. So again, you cannot destroy the land. You cannot take from your neighbor. There's all this idea of be responsible with what you have, be intentional with what you have. You have to be a good shepherd. You have to rotate your field. You have to rotate your crop usage. You have to rotate your animal usage. You have to be good with the resources God has given you. You have to be intentional with the resources God has given you. And if you don't, you're going to get punished.
Yeah, and I don't know if it comes up right here or not. Probably not, because I feel like it's later on. But there's two commandments about like fields and ownership where if a stranger is walking through your crops,
Oh, to
they're
glean it.
allowed to they're allowed to
Yeah.
eat as much as they can eat, but they can't take anything with them. And then
Mm-hmm.
also when you're harvesting your crops, you have to leave the corners of it for the poor of your land.
Mm-hmm.
It's
And you don't
there's all
glean it a
sorts of
second time.
hmm
Yeah.
yeah,
So
yeah.
you
If you
don't
drop
do the double
anything while you're
harvest.
carrying it, right,
Yeah.
right. It's just very cool stuff where it's like you keep pointing out where God is taking care of the people that are normally overlooked or considered low value in society.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Super cool, or
E-
as the kids and the Chris's say these days, based, super based.
The law has so many protections against the poor. It's kind of amazing that there's no
Hmm.
classism because every other legal system had classism. If you look at the Code of Hammurabi, there's a bunch of classism of the poor versus the rich. The rich had more
Hmm.
protections than the poor had. So this is giving the ability for the poor to feed themselves, so they don't have
Hmm.
to commit theft, so that they don't have to, you know, take and risk slavery or any of that. You can just, eat from what is available before you.
Hmm.
So you have the protections of if you really cannot pay it off, you can just become a servant and you get paid while you're a servant, and then you
Hmm.
go free and you go free
Eh,
with some money. They have to give you some cash when you go free. So
hmm.
if you are down in your luck, it's basically declaring bankruptcy of, hey, I have really screwed up my life. I don't know what I'm going to be doing. I'm going to go back to this person as their slave, as their servant, work for them for a couple of years, and then come out of it a better man. Which is
Hmm.
maybe where like the son is doing in the prodigal son story is the man went out into the world, lived the worldly life, couldn't handle it, came back to his father as a slave, so that years later he could come out as a man again. And instead, we see the Father running down to us to meet us where we are instead of having to force us to go through the slavery process to be redeemed. He just redeems him. And that's
Hmm.
pretty awesome. That's pretty magical. It's pretty special. That's what Jesus does for us. And we see that in the law. We see that with if you're poor, you're not going to be generationally poor. There is the
Hmm.
Jubilee. If you're indebted, your debts will be forgiven eventually during your lifetime. uh, if you are sick, God will take care of you. There's like he has all of these protections for people who cannot take care of themselves. It's amazing. The law is super based.
and unprecedented, and also, I mean, nothing really like it even going further, really.
Right. Yeah. Even the New Testament, it's not as like the New Testament is obviously the fulfillment of the law because it shows why the law existed to begin with,
Hmm.
but it still doesn't give a system of how you to perfectly live together. There is like how you manage your own heart, how you are good to one another, and how the church governance works. But as far as a legal code for uh, property ownership, you don't really see that type of stuff in the New Testament. So you still
Hmm.
have to have some of the Old Testament to have a good governance, a good legal system, because that's not given in the New Testament as much. Which is why I, as a Christian, am always like, hey, the Old Testament and the New Testament are one book. They're all equally important, and we live by all of it equally. We don't just focus
Hmm.
on one and ignore the other. The prophets are deeply important. The Torah is deeply important. It's all pointing to Christ and his fulfillment in him, but we still have wisdom and knowledge and love and relationship and all of these things that build upon one another grounded in the Old Testament. Which I know, Stephen, you're like, yes.
Maybe one of these days, you and I have a friendly showdown. We could do that, and see and maybe make a poll on who made the better argument, and then whoever did wins $100,000 or $75,000, something like that. Make it worth it.
I'm gonna hire a lawyer to help me with it.
Yeah. I think
Yeah,
I know a guy.
yeah. Uh, so if a fire breaks out and spreads to thorn bushes, so that stacked grain or the standing grain or the field itself is consumed, he who started the fire shall surely make restitution. If a man gives his neighbor money or goods to keep for him, and it is stolen from the man's house, if the thief is caught, he shall pay double. If the thief is not caught, then the owner of the house shall appear before the judges to determine whether he laid his hands on his neighbor's property. So now you can't just like pretend to steal things. So again, there's protections against the evils of humanity. The author of the Torah knows that humans are evil. Imagine that. It accounts for human evil. Like, hey, there's going to be all these loopholes. Let's try to figure it out. And it's like, hey, there's no loophole here. Don't steal what's given to you, you idiot.
Mm.
And then if you do, it's like, should you pay double, as in you pay both people? So the thief would have to pay the person who lent it and the person who had it. Or is it pay double, as in just the normal 2x? This could be a 4x payment because he's paying both people. If he's stolen an ox, he could be paying like 10x because it's 5 times 2. So that's its own little mini debate you could go through
Oh,
there.
interesting. Mm.
If the thief is not caught, so I went through that. For every breach of trust, whether it is for an ox or donkey, sheep, or clothing, or any lost thing, about any which one says, this is it, the case of both parties shall come before the judges. He whom the judges condemn shall pay double to his neighbor. If a man gives his neighbor a donkey, an ox, a sheep, or any animal to keep for him, and it dies or is injured or is driven away while no one is looking, then an oath before Yahweh shall be made by the two of them that he has not laid hands on his neighbor's property, and if the owner shall not accept it, he shall not make restitution. If the owner shall accept it. This is kind of like a Mabahala, but
Mhm.
not in the I challenge you, brother
Yeah.
type of scenario. It's more like we both swear that we're not lying before God.
Hmm.
And then they do it.
Which is,
But if it is
that's a serious thing, because it brings in the third commandment, and also the not bearing false witness. It's it's not just uh it's not in this that everywhere you go, these swear to God, swear on my life, swear on my mother's grave, and
right,
all
right,
this
right,
stuff.
right, right. Yeah,
This is a very big deal. I think more of a
very
deal than a
important.
lot of people reading it today might understand.
Yeah, because you're giving false witness in court, you're swearing on the name of God, and you're
Which, if you're lying, is
lying about
blasphemy. Yeah.
stealing. Right, it's
Mm.
blasphemy. It's crazy. This is a pretty serious scenario to be stuck in. So that's why it is actually useful for the law. Because if you commit blasphemy, you're put to death.
Right.
So this is a pretty important test of their, truthfulness.
Mm-hmm.
But if it's actually stolen from him, he shall make restitution to its owner. Uh, Now, if it is all torn to pieces, let him bring it as evidence. He shall not make restitution for what has been torn to pieces. If a man borrows anything from his neighbor and it is injured or he dies while his owner is not with it, he shall make full restitution. But if the owner is with it, he shall not make restitution. If it is hired, it came for its hire. So if a man is in charge of an animal or anything that someone gave to him, he now has responsibilities over that thing. So this is teaching social responsibilities, social constructs, social relationships of, hey, if I give you something, you should be a responsible enough, a good enough person to take care of what I give you. So this is again getting into negligence. This is again getting into a heart that God wants. He wants you to be in a heart position where you actively care about your neighbor, you actively care about your friends, you actively care about anything that is in your possession. This is elevating the status between people to make everyone responsible for their decisions, everyone responsible for what they do or do not do in a way that leads to the best situation for everyone. If everyone is responsible, if everyone is thinking, if everyone's proactive in theft, in animals being lost or killed by predators, in all of these different scenarios, then we have a better society. If we were looking out for one another as neighbors, as friends, we have a better society. You have an actual community versus every man for himself. So this is a teaching against tribalism. It's teaching
Mm-hmm.
against covetousness. It's teaching against selfishness. This is a, if you have responsibility, deal with your responsibility, which is pretty based.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It
So,
does remind me of when we were talking earlier about you had mentioned the commandment about the uh what do they call it? The wayward son or the
mm, the parable of the
uh
wayward or prodigal son.
uh no, the commandment against if you have a obedient son
Oh yeah.
and he's a drunkard, he's going around
Mm-hmm.
the town messing everything up and it does say you've given him reproof several times and he's ignored it and all this stuff. And so you take him before the elders and you make your claim against him. This is our son, but we've corrected him several times. He's neglected to listen to us. And then the commandment says that the whole town will take him outside and stone him. And it says,
Mm-hmm.
and thus you shall eliminate the evil from among Israel, because
Mm-hmm.
uh, so me and my wife have talked about this a couple times where she's like, God, because I remember when I first read that when I was a teenager, just first studying it, I thought, gosh, that sounds real harsh, because I mean, most of the kids I knew in school would probably be
Fall
put
into
to
that
death.
category. Yeah.
Right. And but I think that is kind of the current climate is more of a result of people not doing that. Not to
Mm-hmm.
say, I'm not endorsing it to go vigilante, kill your children or anything like that. But because like you brought up, the rabbis say that they, as far as we know, this has never been carried out. I think that's kind of, this is my personal opinion, but I think that's Jews being so tired of everybody killing them that they don't want to have any kind of controversial things in their book, because the principle behind that, and I mean, if anybody's who's ever had a daughter who's been fallen victim to somebody's uh,
Terrible
abusive
son.
or drug using son, right? I mean,
Mm-hmm.
and it causes generational suffering, because then a lot
Mm-hmm.
of times there's children involved and then they replicate their parents' behavior. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I do think. I don't I know that it's extreme, and again I'm not saying I'm more so um endorsing the principle, which is kind of like, you know, the ox that breaks loose that you knew is dangerous.
Yeah.
How much more so for a son that does the same thing? And it's more of a
Mm,
thing to have parents, you know, you gotta you raise your kids up right, and but also again, the whole reason I brought it up is because the whole community stones that son. And
right.
it's kind of a unifying moment, which again has got to be a nightmare for the parents. Uh, but at the same time, it's 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 this community coming together to say we cannot have anybody in our community behaving this way, because it can very quickly destroy an entire community if you've got one or two or three of those people. So
Yeah.
that was my rant on that. Apologies.
Yeah. It becomes a generational curse. And the whole
Mm,
point of the Torah is to remove generational curses. So you don't
mm,
have generational poverty because of the Jubilee. You
mm,
cannot have generational poverty because everyone loses their debt every generation. You don't have generational dishonor or disobedience or thievery or like criminal activity because the criminals are dealt with. You
mm.
don't have these aspects of the evil side of society
Well, you don't even
rampant
have
because
prison, you know, you don't have prison in the biblical society. Everything is dealt with at the time in one
Mhm,
way or the other, and then it's done with. You don't have these where you lock people up with a bunch of other messed up people where they have a opportunity to mess them up even more, and then at some point
make
they
them
just
worse. Yeah.
willy-nilly go free and then can't reintegrate.
Hmm.
There's no prison or jail system in the Torah. It's uh, sin and crime is dealt with in
A
ways that
legal, just
are
way.
right,
Yeah.
and then that's it, and then you go back about your business. Uh, just very interesting. Not not there's so much about the American legal system that Christianity loves, and yet there's so much still in it that is not very biblical at all. Which is kind of interesting because certain things you'll discuss with people, and I mean, even like the death penalty, or embezzlement. You know, like you were talking about, even generational debt. There's people that are getting locked up for embezzling longer than people who are committing terrible acts, and that how does that make sense? You know, that's very strange.
Right. This is yeah.
In
America would
English
be in a
common
better state if
law,
we had it.
in English common law, they had a crime called mayhem. And in order to be guilty of mayhem, you had to have like a weird tweak to your crime where like you gouged out an eyeball
Oh
or
wow.
like yeah, like I'll have to look up the uh the prongs of mayhem. But wouldn't that be such an awesome thing to be accused of? He committed mayhem.
Sounds like a metal band.
It's like David Woods
That's pretty
committing
awesome.
mayhem against Islam right now.
um, yeah. I mean, as you said earlier, with the generational suffering of if we dealt more harshly with teenagers, or like the biggest issue is we don't have responsibilities as kids anymore.
Hmm.
Kids, their only responsibility is to learn, and that's not a
Hmm.
very good responsibility to keep you out of rebelliousness and trouble. If you have the responsibility of actually working, like if you grew up on a farm, you're a very different type of kid than if you are bored at home doing whatever.
Hmm.
So a lot of it could probably be chalked up to that. Just hey, we don't have a society that functions for the human brain anymore because our society is not focused on producing because
Or
we have
even,
to have
you know,
purpose.
functions for the community, really. It's
Right.
more of you go get that degree, and then, you know,
For
make
self.
something of yourself, instead of
Yeah.
saying, hey, help out the family, and then one day you'll be able to take over and you'll inherit this, and you'll be part of the community. It's more geared towards everybody go out and b make something of yourself, and you go rule your make your own little kingdom somewhere, and doesn't really work out all that well.
Yeah. Imagine that. Whenever you abandon what God said to do, it turns out bad. Yeah, crazy. I know. No
I'll
one
have
ever
to.
expected that.
I'm gonna get off probably right around now because I am so tired,
Okay, that's
and
fine.
I'm getting over a cold too.
Oh
Ooh.
man, go get
Y'all
sleep.
have a good one.
Yes. See ya. Okay. When was the crescent assimilated inside this cult? Is Allah Ilah or Allah or distorted Allah? Had Jews ever called God as Allah? Last one, no.
Mhm.
When was the crescent assimilated? The standard statement is that it was assimilated by the Ottomans in the 1400s. You do have that imagery going back before that, in the pagan times. So whether or not that imagery is actually being associated with Islam at that point in time, it's hard to say because that imagery comes from Venus and the moon, the crescent moon, which was also the imagery of Almaq, um, Almaqah, Almaqah.
Al-Maq.
That yeah, that god is the lunar god of the crescent moon. He's also the bull-headed god because the crescent moon has the two horns. Is the idea? Then you have Venus above that. So Venus is the consort of the crescent moon in pagan Arabia and in pagan Yemen. That concept got later applied to Islam. It's a pagan symbol. That's now the default symbol of Islam, which is really funny. But as far as when it was actually introduced into Islam, the default scholarly consensus is towards the Ottomans. I know Mary says it's way sooner than that, but I haven't seen the evidence for that myself.
So, Chris, with all your research, because I haven't really done much, because either way, it's all heretical paganism, but to me, and it seemed to make even more sense when I learned about the satanic verses
Hmm.
with the goddess Alat. Now, I don't know. I haven't looked up how that's spelled in the Arabic, if it's etymologically similar or not. But uh, Allah, and there's the Kaaba with the black stone that came from
Hmm.
the sky. And if you look at the where how it's mounted, without being crass, it does seem to appear to mimic the anatomy of female anatomy.
Hmm.
And then you throw in the moon in there, and it just all seems kind of like a pagan moon fertility goddess to me.
It is.
Is
Yeah.
there evidence for all those things coming together in that way, or is it
Um,
just very convenient that there's like just paganism doing what it does and kind of amalgamating into one type of thing?
yeah. You have different views of the different societies, so it kind of depends on which one you think Islam is pulling from. Um, but I did a stream on Mary Arb a couple weeks or months ago. It's been a while. On the pagan origins of Allah and the pagan origins of Islam.
Okay.
Um, yeah, it's a pretty neat stream. There's a lot of information there. The Muslims got pretty fiery in the comment section. Um, for Allah is the female consort of Hubal and Allah. Hubal and Allah seem to be the same person, and it seems to be more of
Mhm.
a pagan deity. Or my throat sucks. I'm also getting over a cold.
Oh, I thought you were
Ar-Rahman.
just speaking Hebrew.
No, I was trying to. Ar-Rahman is in Hebrew the merciful one, or Rahman is the
Oh
like the
yeah.
bestower of mercy, the merciful one. And it's in the Talmud. It's one of his 13 divine attributes of mercy is
Hmm.
Rahman. That is the original deity of Allah, not of Allah, of Muhammad. And then Allah is the deity that he adopts later on. And in the, I believe it's in the Quran of who is Allah and who is Rahman, or are they the same deity or are they different deities? It says, oh no, they're the same. They're the same. So he pretends that they have the same name or that they're the
Okay.
same deity. But
Well, yeah,
Allah
it's I
comes
mean that's even in
mostly.
Bismillahir Rahim.
Mhm. They're
It's okay, so
merciful, the bestower of mercy. Yeah.
mm,
So his most important title he probably got from the Jews, which is pretty funny. And then his name probably is a mixture of paganism and Ela. Because Barbosa asked, is it Allah or Al Ela? It would be Al Ela.
yeah,
It's not
that would be
Allah. It's
the
not coming from the
God,
Aramaic.
technically.
Right. It's the God. So he is putting the God, which was Hubal, which is the Lord, and or he is Lord. I think is literally the Hubal.
Oh yeah, Hu Baal. He is Master or Lord. Yeah,
He
okay.
is Lord.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah, I never thought of that.
yeah. So Hubal and Hawadud, um, or Wuhadad. I forgot it. I think it's Wuhdad. Hadad.
Oh, I know what you're
That is
talking
the other
about.
pagan deity.
Mm,
Um, yeah, Hadad. So Hadad is also one of the ones. He is the bull-headed deity who has a snake on his statue. Like, is also associated with all of this. So Hadad, Baal, Hubal, Allah, they're all kind of the same pagan deity. They have the same
mm,
symbols. It's pretty similar where it's all coming from. Um, you throw that in with that culture, then you throw in a Jewish context on top of it, and you end up with essentially what he uses for Islam.
okay.
Yeah. Um, there's of course a debate about that when and where he got everything from, but it seems to have a pagan origin. Allah is
Mm,
the daughter slash wife of Hubal, along with Manat and Aluza.
mm,
They're the high flying cranes. They're intercessories with people to Hubal, who's the storm god. Um, so likely comes from that, but she's probably not the moon, though, to be fair, because the
okay.
moon it was a male deity. So in Arabia, it was male moon, female sun. The sun is Shams. Shams is the female
Mm,
deity of the sun. In the northern, like in the Iraq area, I believe they gender swapped them to have a male sun and a female moon. But in Arabia, it's a male moon and a female sun, which gets into
interesting.
some of the problems for like Surah 27, because Surah 27 says the Queen of Sheba bowed down to the sun, which in 10th
Mm.
century BC, they had no worship of the sun. They only worshiped the moon because the moon was their chief deity because it's the male deity.
Oh, interesting.
Anyway, yeah, I need to make a video on that. Um, it's pretty interesting because we have like the Giez inscriptions of old Yemeni, of the old kingdom before Himyar took over, and or Hymyar, however you pronounce that, one of the two,
Mm.
and that took over, and then the Jews took over from them, and the Christians took over from them. So you go from one to the other to the other to the other.
Okay.
Wait, concisely, it's all Ilah.
Yeah, so the name Allah is all one
The
word,
God.
but
Right.
all
It's
if
a
you if
contraction.
that's like a proper noun in Arabic. Yeah, like a contraction.
Mhm.
But to say the God would be al-ilah.
Mhm.
Ilah
Yeah.
is in Arabic God, and al is the definite article, so it'd be
The.
al-ilah, the God. But
Which
Allah is like the what they would call the like a
God.
proper noun. It would be the name of their
Right.
God, which
Right.
is another one of those things. They have no concept of Yahweh whatsoever, even though it's in a lot
Nope.
of their prophets' names. And
Mhm. Yep. They don't know Yahweh, even though three of the prophets have Yah in it.
yeah, well, they have Elias, right, for Elijah.
Elijah,
They have for
Jesus,
John, and
John,
John they have
Yahya.
Yahya. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, imagine if you imagine your whole religion falling apart just linguistically.
It is. It does. Yes. The best part is the Quran claims to be in pure Arabic, but there's thousands of Hebrew words in it, in Aramaic, in Syriac. Because Syriac and Aramaic are basically the same. Yeah. So the Quran falls apart whenever you start examining the non-Arabic usage within it, especially because there's words that don't originate from the Bible, that originate from the rabbis, that is in the Quran, such as Shekinah.
That's in the Quran?
That's in the Quran.
Wow. And
Shekinah
is it used the
comes
same?
up
Is it used the
a lot. It's the
Wow.
rabbinic usage of the word. Yes. The divine presence. Although it doesn't fully understand it, but it uses it in the same way that a rabbi would use it.
Wow.
There's rabbinic only theological terms in Hebrew and Aramaic in the Quran. There's no Arabic in the Talmud. I wonder which one came first. Anyway.
It's kind of like the Temple Mount, where there's that whole big platform, and then there's that mosque on top of it, but then somehow that all the people were Muslims first, and there were never any Jews there. Interesting.
Uh-huh.
We're starting to see a pattern
That's
here, I
weird.
think.
Yeah, it's a little strange little thingy, yeah, it's very stupid. Yeah, but Betel worship is pagan, so the standing rock worship, the whole Kaaba thing is just pagan. Although the Talmud does talk about Bethel as the house of God, and it
Oh,
alludes to
interesting.
Abraham building Bethel.
Oh, really?
So, yeah, I'm working on a Kaaba video.
So interesting.
I
So
think
it's
I have a
even
decent argument
linked to
for it.
Abraham in the same way that they
Yeah,
link the
although
Kaaba to Abraham.
in the Midrash, it talks about how all prophets worshipped at the same altar, the same house.
Okay.
Yeah. So, just Kaaba. Because it talks about how
Wow.
specifically Cain and Abel, or like Adam and Abel sacrificed on that altar. Noah sacrificed on the altar. Abraham sacrificed on the altar. And it was fit for him to bring it back because it like was brought up during the flood and brought back down after the flood.
Okay.
Which is pretty much what you see in Islam. Anyway,
Mhm.
yeah, I'm going through the Kaaba stuff in a bit. And there is Aramaic, of course, in Talmud, and there's Syriac Christians in the area too. Right. So the Syriac and Aramaic are like the rabbinic Aramaic and the Christian Syriac is almost the same language. It's like the difference between Spanish and Portuguese. They're the same. Like you could communicate pretty easily between the two. Just different scripts, different writing style. But yeah, both of those could be sources for the words in the Quran because they're almost identical in any of the usage. If you Google or if you do translations for any of the words, you look up the origins of any of the words, it comes up with pretty much being the same. Like
Very interesting.
Talmud versus Talmita. It's basically the same root. It's just maybe different vowel placements. It's the only difference between Aramaic and Syriac. The Portuguese mentioned. Anyway, so now that little divergent thing is down, let's go back to the law. A little bit of baseness to it. So, if a man seduces a virgin who is not engaged and lies with her, he must pay a dowry for her to be his wife. They automatically get married. So you can't be sleeping around. If you do sleep around, you gain that woman as a wife. You're consummating a marriage covenant, even if you didn't mean to join a marriage covenant.
And not it's regardless of whether or not she becomes pregnant.
Right. It's just intercourse.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. If her father absolutely refuses to give her to him, he shall pay money equal to the dowry for virgins. So he still has to pay this massive amount of money just for having intercourse. This would be multiple cows, or at least a cow. It was expensive. This would be, tens of thousands of dollars in today's money.
I had a very unfortunate TikTok debate with Central Dawa over this because
How was your
somewhere in
first mistake?
Deuteronomy it names the price, and
Mhm.
he was going off of modern Israeli shekels. And so he was making this big whole thing about like, oh, here's my $13. I can go rape people and here's the $13. And it was just very, and so I had him read it again because he said the whole prompt was like, the God of the Bible is okay with grape.
Mhm.
And that was his evidence, was as long as you pay the $13. And he lied like 4 times and I couldn't hold him to it and he kept skipping around. Sorry, that was just like a PTSD moment where it's
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
that
it's
guy.
pretty dumb. Also, I have
Uh,
a Muslim in the chat. How many of my
uh-oh.
32 points regarding your point PDF have you refuted? 0! So now I must finish production. Running from me cannot help you. Defending a lie in time for receipts. I don't even know who you are.
And I don't even, what does that mean? Is 32 points? It's
I
like a
guess he has
third of
32
Martin Luther.
counterpoints to my booklet. Um, where did you post that? I don't actually, I don't remember you anywhere. I definitely haven't seen your arguments. Is he actually Muslim or is he just making a joke?
Well, it's a good question because it's hard to
I
tell
have no
anymore.
idea. That's the best part. I call his naive. Uh, I have no idea if he's a Muslim or not. That's pretty funny. Show my points. Yes, you do. I don't know what you're talking about, my guy. Do you want to post them now? You want to send
Yeah,
me an
let's
email?
give us 1 point maybe.
Oh, that's
We've
funny.
got a lot to pull from.
If 32. Anyway, so I'll wait for him to load up his 32 mag. We'll post it here and after this live. Okay, you do that. So
Yeah.
if her father absolutely refuses to give her to him, he shall pay money equal to the dowry for virgins. You shall not allow a sorceress to live. Whoever lies with an animal shall surely be put to death. Man, do some cultures need that today?
Yeah.
Goats have been abused enough. And
Well,
he
and
who
if
sacrificed.
it's real what I'm hearing, there's a problem, I think, in Pakistan with dolphins. Have you heard that?
In Pakistan with dolphins?
I think that's what I heard. It's
I've seen literal footage of them doing it with goats and
oh
drones.
gosh.
My army buddies, so I was back
No
during
way. Oh, so it's
Desert
not even
Storm.
like oh no.
No, it wasn't like internet stuff. They were like showing me drone footage because they so
Oh,
I have a lot of special forces friends growing up because a lot of my friends' dads were special ops. So I had
okay.
some Green Berets showing me drone footage and like kill confirms that they were doing, but they were like surveilling the snipers in the mountains because that's what they would do in Iraq.
Hmm.
And they hang out in the mountains and they'd wait for convoys to go by and they would snipe them. They're very good snipers. The Afghanis and the Iraqis, they have very good quality snipers. But there was this drone footage of like 6 dudes around a state like a pen, and they had a goat in its head in a pen, and they were just taking turns on it. And I was like 13 watching this. I was like, that's so stupid and messed up, man. Why were you fighting these people? And I got it. I was like, yeah, I got it. Like, let's stop the goat goat defilers. But yeah, no, I've
Wow.
seen a bunch of, and then I think Pakistan is the world's number one consumer of animal pornography. So they watch a lot of it.
Wow.
Anyway, the Barack is uh
Uh,
yeah. Time will tell, won't it? Dot dot dot. Man, I love the confidence. All right. Only 6 dudes. Muhammad is 5 times better than this. You see. Oh. Yeah, no. Yeah,
What a time to be alive.
I've seen so much messed up stuff in my life. The internet is not a great place to live. Anyway.
No.
Yeah. Anyway. And he who sacrifices to any god other than Yahweh alone shall be devoted to destruction. You shall not mistreat a sojourner or oppress him, for you were sojourners in the land of Egypt. I think this is the heart of the Torah. Of you know what it's like to suffer unjustly. You know what it's like to be oppressed unjustly. Therefore, do not oppress. You've been oppressed. Do not oppress. You've sojourned. Do not. Well, now you're not going to sojourn because you have this land given to you for all eternity. But we have do not, like, this is the do unto others as you'd have them do unto you. It's the heart of the Bible. And it's all throughout the entire Bible. This is amazing.
Well, like Jesus says, the whole law hangs on the 2 commandments: love God and love your neighbor. Every commandment has to do with one of those 2 things.
Yeah.
Oh,
God loves.
Speaking
of your neighbor, random dog jump scare. Yeah. It's pretty crazy how much the New Testament sounds like the Old Testament whenever you understand the Old Testament through the lens of God is actively trying to work on people's hearts to make better societies that are more just, more loving, and ultimately what the New Testament describes that we should be living as. The Sermon on the Mount
representative
is
of
what
his
the
character.
Exactly. The Sermon on the Mount is the goal that the law was striving to achieve. Yeah. That's why so based. Whenever you actually understand it and not just go through the rabbinic vens and butcher it. Anyway.
Yeah.
So you shall not afflict any widow or orphan, and if you indeed afflict him, and if he is earnestly cries out to me, I will surely hear his cry. And my anger will burn, and I will kill you with the sword, and your wives shall become widows, and your children fatherless. So if you afflict these orphans, these widows, these foreigners, these travelers, I will kill you with the sword. So the same thing that the Israelites were commanded to do to wipe out these disobedient, despondent people, the Midianites and the other groups, the Canaanites, who were doing child sacrifice, who were doing rape, like raising of lands, raping of women. They were doing all these things, and God's like, okay, I'm going to put an end to you. The only way you can put an end to a free will people is by the sword. If they are actively in disobedience, there is no way to correct them once they've been warned, which gets back into the wayward son thing. The wayward son is warned over and over and over again, hey, if you do not repent, if you do not go back on your evil, we are going to have to kill you. He has every chance to repent, and yet he doesn't. Therefore, he is killed because you cannot quell rebellion with anything other than the sword. Here, God says of the Jewish people, if you are in this act of rebellion, if you're in this act of evil, if you get down to the heart condition of those I took you away from, that I'm setting you apart from, I'm going to do unto you as I did unto them. So God is not actually showing like favoritism. He's showing favoritism in a way because of the blessings, but he doesn't show favoritism in his justice against the Jews. That's something people entirely mess around with, like, oh, God only cares about the Jews. It's like, no, he doesn't. He holds them to a higher standard in order for the Messiah to come, in order for the world to be saved. But he is not doing all of this without consequences. It's why the temples were destroyed.
Well, and again, he specifically mentions, I didn't choose you because you were greater than all peoples, or because you were more holy or righteous, or that I chose you because you were small in number. And he specifically points out he chose Israel because because it was not the not the thing that what the pagan gods would think. You know, they think you choose the big warrior people or the strongest nation or this or that. And uh it's, sorry, the dog is creeping around here. uh but so, okay, it's okay, come here. This is Ruby
The
now.
doggo. Hold on,
She's
doggo.
just
Doggo
she
moment.
wants to be internet famous is what Ruby
Oh, she's
wants.
so cute. She's by far the strangest German Shepherd I've ever seen, but she
She
is
really
so
is.
cute.
Okay, baby. Okay. Okay,
Oh,
sorry. That's too much. What are you doing? You want to lay down? Come lay down. It's
Stella!
not. Just trying to get it.
I don't want to
Oh
yell.
yeah,
My
I
kids
was
are
telling my
asleep.
daughter about your dog.
I was trying to get my dog to come, but I don't think she's going to because she's probably upstairs in bed.
Oh, she's okay. She's trying to get in my skin. She's very emotional.
Doggo moment. Does she have any Jack Russell in her?
Ruby? No, she's
Yeah.
100% purebred German Shepherd, which again, I don't really get, but I know her parents and because my father-in-law was the breeder and both 100% purebred German Shepherds, so I don't we chose her because she looked so different. But she does you know, she looks very German Shepherdy, but
Mm,
for her to be 100% is kind of weird.
very
But
strange. Yeah.
yeah.
Did you get her genetically tested?
No, because her both her parents were because they're
Or German Shepherds? Yeah. That's
mm,
weird. She's
yeah.
an interesting looking dog. Yeah. Anyway, doggo time over.
Yeah.
Uh, God works in mysterious ways for your dog. It's
Yeah.
pretty cool. Uh, okay. If you lend money to my people, to the afflicted among you, you are not to act as a creditor to him. You shall not charge him interest. If you ever take your neighbor's cloak as a pledge, you shall return it to him before the sun sets. For that
That's
is
great.
his
I love
only
that.
covering. Yeah. Like it's so
That's
basic. Even
another
if you
super
are
minuscule little rule, you know, that well, you know, it's a very
right.
important one, but it's something that's like it's to read a holy book of law and find something like that in there amongst so many other things again you keep pointing it out how God is uh almost fixated on the poor and the needy
Mhm. Yeah.
and taking I mean when we go back to like oppressing the widows and the orphans and God's like, well, that's, you know, I will take care of you myself if you go into that stuff. uh
Mhm.
Very very demonstrative of God's heart and his love for humanity, and also
Yeah.
a an unusual for the time awareness of circumstances uh, where humans had to be directed not to be bad in.
Mhm. Yeah. It's almost as if God cares about us and the
Yeah.
Beatitudes are based on God, based on scripture. Imagine that. Yeah, like everything that people praise Jesus for saying is just like coming from the Torah, but it is expanding explicitly on things that can be found implicitly there. You just have
Hmm.
to see it and know it, but once you know it, you can't unsee it. Like
Hmm.
it's beautiful. The law is amazing. The people, whenever they read the law, typically they just glaze over. They're like, okay, what they just skip like, oh yeah, let me skip to Judges real quick.
Right, right.
Get through like Exodus like 15, 16, like, okay, Judges, and then they don't read
I had
any of the rest of it. It's
a
like,
good Christian neighbor who I loved, and even him, he was like, we've been doing Bible studies on uh he couldn't actually even, he would say, was it Numbers or Leviticus? And he goes, just like sometimes it's hard to stay awake through it. And I get that if you know, coming from
uh,
go to church for an hour once a week and hear some nice feel good sermons about a quote of Jesus, you know, but if you actually if you're studying it with understanding of what it actually represents, I mean, Jesus is
Yeah.
the living Torah. And so
Mhm.
when you read the Torah, you are getting an insight into the heart of God himself. And so if you don't approach it with that view and you think you're just reading this outdated code book or legal book from millennia ago, it's not going to
Right.
be very interesting, and really nor should it be, because there's also this pervasive uh, slander amongst the church that the law was given to the Jews for their disobedience. I mean, that's what all I heard growing up.
That's what
And
Islam says. That's the exact
is it
punishment
really?
from Islam. The Sabbath was given in order to punish the Jews.
So, see, I hear that from a lot of Christians. So I wonder if that's where they well, no, Christians Christians came against the Sabbath a lot longer before Islam started. But it's just, I mean, it's borderline blasphemy, because the Sabbath is a picture of Jesus and he calls himself Lord of the Sabbath. And so
Mhm.
uh, to denigrate anything in the law, to look at any of the commandments and say, wow, how could God say that? Or if like that was the
Yeah,
old
like
hateful God. How many times do you hear,
right.
the God of the Old Testament is this hateful,
Creating
wrathful smiter?
right.
And then Jesus comes
Yeah,
along and he's the hippie guy with the doing the peace sign and putting the flowers in the rifle barrels and everything. And I mean, that's you couldn't be more wrong.
right.
First of all, you're drawing a delineation between Jesus and God as though they're forces
Different.
working against each other, or
Right.
even, yeah, I mean, even
That's
down to the
Marconionism.
right, yeah, and also like parts of Gnosticism where it's actually Satan is the good guy because he brought knowledge into the world, and
Hmm.
uh, it's really it's definitely not as common now as it used to be, but there was this whole huge thing of when I'm growing up, because I've been keeping Torah for 19 years now. And there was such the huge thing of that this is evil to do, and the law is evil, and the law, God did that as a punishment and or some people would say, well, it wasn't a punishment, but God did it to show us. The only reason he did it was to show us how bad we were, and so we shouldn't want to do those things because we can't do them. And it's not really a very strong line of thought, because if you can't do them, then you kind of get more into uh, the Islamic way of thinking, which is that God God does this for this reason and this for that, and Allah knows best. And some people are just destined for hell, and so there. But so it's nice to see, and especially like with getting to hang out and talk with you so much, is there is this view now where Christians can look at the law and say, wow, that's really cool. That's really cool. That's really cool. Because I would say, if because God is the author of the law and Jesus is the living law, that if you have a problem with a certain commandment, that's something for you to reflect on, uh, not to hold against God. And because there's that part in Deuteronomy where he says the secret things belong to me and the revealed things are for you and your. I don't want to misquote it, so I don't want to butcher the quote, but so there are commandments where you read them and you go, wow, uh, uh, I don't understand that, or wow, that seems harsh, or really, I wouldn't think that, but that's kind of on the reader, not the author.
Right.
And it's just so good to see that people are taking it more seriously, or that have kind of tossed out this silly idea that the law is evil or it's a punishment. There's no there is no biblical uh, idea that the law is a punishment. It literally says, I'm setting before you today life and death, blessing and cursing. Choose life so you may live. And then
Hmm.
again, we talked about the last live stream, Psalm 119, the longest chapter in the Bible, is an acrostic poem all
About the
about
law.
how great the law is.
Hmm.
So for anybody to say that the law is a curse or the law is a punishment or the law was not good or anything negative, you're talking completely against the Bible, and I'm not just talking Old Testament thought, I'm New Testament thought too. So it's
Right.
great that there are channels like this and live streams like this that are giving the law its due reverence, because really it's not, we don't worship the law, we worship the lawgiver, and he
Hmm.
gave us the law as a picture of himself so that we may walk and emulate him. And with, as Christians with the Holy Spirit, we are now able to do it. That's the core of the new covenant, Jeremiah 31:31. He puts the law in our hearts
On our
so that
hearts.
we
Yeah.
may do it. And I just realized now I've been talking a lot, and sorry about that, Chris.
Oh, it's good. It's good. It's good. Yeah. One thing to know, because people might not be familiar with your position, is that you're not believing that the law gives you salvation. You're not earning
Correct, correct.
favor with
Yeah,
God. You're
you're
not earning piety. You're doing the law because it's good for you, in your view.
yes, because yeah. So my quick as I can be. My quick position is the law does not
Okay. Well,
give you
you give that mic up
salvation.
here real quick.
Okay,
I'll be
so
right.
so my view is you keep the law in imitation of Jesus and in imitation of Peter and in imitation of Paul and all the other church, and you do it not to earn salvation, you do it because uh, this is the holy lifestyle that God has called us to. So it's not, I'm not saved because I keep the Sabbath. I keep the Sabbath because I'm saved. Kind of like with Passover, right? Uh, God took the people out of Egypt, and and not for anything they did. And then once they were out of Egypt, he said, "Okay, I've bought you. You are my people, and now here is how you are to behave." So, it's not that God loves me better or that I am thinking that I'm saved and other people aren't saved. It's because I am saved and I'm grateful. My heart is moved to imitate God and keep His commandments. Uh, and it's it's kind of like it with your parents. You you obey your parents because you love and respect them. They'll always love you even if you don't. You could be in prison for a heinous crime and your parents are still going to love you. But if you love your parents, you're not going to do those things. So, good. Thank you, Chris, for clarifying that in case people didn't know. Yes, absolutely. You don't keep the law for salvation.
Right.
That does not work. You cannot earn your
Mhm.
salvation.
Right. I just want to get that out there before people are like, oh. So
Judaizer.
did all the Judaizer claims. That's the whole point of our first conversation together was, are you a
Yeah,
Judaizer? And you're like,
right,
no,
right.
no, 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 no. Yeah. So I do want to hear, what is this joke, Jack? You hear the joke about seven? It's a riot. Iran news.
Seven,
Either that joke
seven.
entirely went over my head, or I missed the punchline. But I'm excited for it if there's a punchline. And also thank you so much again for donating 10 memberships, brother.
Oh, wow.
You have systematically filled out all the memberships to my channel.
Yeah.
I think other than two other ones with Nobody's Watching and Tommy, those are the only guys other than you who have signed up with membership. You've filled it out pretty extensively, brother. Um, Crazy. Anyway, what is the joke about seven? I'm curious if you want to give me the punchline or if I just entirely missed it. Uh, do you know Adam Seeker? Yes, I do. The question wasn't to me, but I know him. I streamed with him before. I'm gonna go check those out. Pretty cool dude. Based. Yeah. Going through the comments while I was gone. Do. Yeah, it's good for you and it's good for the people around you. Live by example. Yeah. Ooh, you are getting someone. I never thought of that. I might try looking into starting to follow the law myself.
I would highly recommend it. I do, again, this is where Chris and I disagree, but I believe it's obligatory on followers of Jesus to keep the law. So that would be probably, Chris, that would be maybe a fun thing to do. Maybe one time we do a live stream, a friendly discussion on the oughts or nots of the
Okay.
matter.
Yeah. I think ultimately we're going to end up back in the same position we did to begin with. Of
Mm,
I don't think I don't think it's sin to not follow it. And I think your position is that it is sin to not follow it,
mm.
or that you should
Only,
still.
I guess I would reword it a little bit. It's not, I feel like it's not my position. I feel like sin is sin.
Okay.
And I think it's kind of clearly laid out what is sin and what is not, and therefore, as Christians, we should avoid all sin at all costs.
Right.
Would be, I guess, maybe my way of summing that up.
Okay.
Because I mean, like
Yeah, that
for
might be a.
example, you and I would have issues eating dinner together sometimes, and that. So let's say it's not sin, but that would be weird, right? So
Mm.
it would be a
Well,
good thing to.
I don't think we would personally, just because you aren't as strict as the rabbinic Jews.
Mm,
If you were, then there would be some problems because
yeah.
I eat all of my meat with dairy. There's
Mhm.
not a single piece of meat I eat without dairy on it. So, uh, other
That's
than bacon,
generally my
bacon is
way
the
to
only
go
thing I
as
eat by
well.
itself. Yeah, ironically. So, yeah, Jack also said the Ayatollah said he'd be paying everyone $7 to settle them down.
Wow, talk about classism and being out of touch.
Brother, that's awesome. I think he made the people more angry because the writing got worse after he
Oh,
said,
I would imagine so. Wow.
"Oh, brother." Yeah, I saw right
My
before we went live the news that they were rioting and like they were taking over cities, and the Ayatollah might be overthrown soon, which would be based. If Iran becomes a
my
Christian
mom
nation
was
again, that'd be
born in
based.
Iran, and her parents, my grandparents, they left before the Islamic Revolution because they kind of could see it coming.
Right.
So it's my grandma still, she's 95 and she's still fluent she speaks Farsi fluently even though she's German. Still don't really know her whole history. She was writing a book for a while, and then I don't remember why she stopped, but she lived through World War II in Germany, and then I think she met my grandpa in Iran, but he's Russian Armenian, and then I think he worked for the Shah, but then I don't know. But so yeah, I try to keep, it would be really cool to hear. She tells me how beautiful Iran was and Esfahan and all these places. And uh, so and she kind of keeps some on it too, because she would really like to see the Islamic regime no longer
Yeah.
there, because she was there before it, and she said it was just a wonderful
Yeah.
place, and then it became not
As it
very
was.
wonderful at all.
Yeah. Persia's kind of been awesome for most of history, other
Yeah,
than when they were like conquering. But
right.
I love Persia. Persian history is pretty cool. Persian food's good.
Mm,
It's just
yeah,
the Islam is the problem. Yeah.
yeah,
Thank you, brother. And then what can you even spend $7 on?
yeah. I
Well,
know.
in those society, in that, and, there's a pretty poor country. At least the average person is. They're not that poor. You're like, hey, you could like. I'm not gonna make that joke. You could buy a woman of the night.
I remember my dad would tell us, he's like, when I was a kid, you go to the gumball machine for a nickel, and we'd be like, what, a nickel? It's like 50 cents now at the gumball machine. He's like, oh yeah, no, a nickel in it. And then he showed us like newspaper he had from when he was a kid, and you look at the car section, you're like, buy a new Buick for $600. Like, wow. No, I know you're obviously adjusting for inflation, but still, it's
Yeah,
just a obviously the
way
Ayatollah
way
is
different
not familiar
experience.
with that concept.
No. Yeah. No, Islam is bad. Imagine that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Back to the. How much longer do you want to go? Because I'm good tonight to keep going.
I'm
Uh,
either way for me. I
Okay.
should probably should take a
Urination break.
yes, a personal live stream. So
A
have you
personal
at
live
the
stream is
helm of
wild.
the if you want to go ahead and
Uh,
mute me,
yeah, I'll meet you
I'll
real quick. Okay, you're muted. I could say you could buy some rice, but they are running out of water to cook it in. Brother. Yeah, whenever Iran is purely not Islamic, it's gonna be a better place to live, man. I'm excited for Iran to be non-Islamic country. Oh man, so much good is gonna happen in the world from that. Like a lot of the defunding. I mean, if we get rid of the fraudsters in Minnesota, like a lot of the terrorist groups are gonna be defunded by Iran and the fraud being exposed and taken away from 'em. So that's billions of dollars going into terrorists. So that would be pretty cool. Be pretty based. My editor is an Armenian, purebred. Uh, he's pretty based as well, as you guys can see in the videos. Sometimes he gets me in trouble with someone he says, Uh, they need to get outside help on the water issue immediately. Yeah, it's pretty bad. Anyway, go through. I went through some of this already. Da, 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 da. Seducing a virgin, suppressing. If you, oh yeah, the neighbor's cloak is what we got the tangent off of. So what else shall he sleep in? And it shall be that when he cries out to me, I will hear him, for I am gracious. God cares about us. He hears us. He sees us. He knows our suffering. Um, the cloak here, like it's such a blessing to humanity that you need to take care of one another with love, with humility, with respect, and we just don't have that anymore. You shall not curse God nor curse a ruler of your people. Um, this one's interesting in how it can be applied to like tyrants. Do you still not curse your tyrant? Because tyrants should be like deposed and all that stuff. So, uh, Christian said you'll probably get through content faster now that I'm not there derailing. We'll see. You shall not delay the offering from the fullness of your harvest and the juice of your wine vat. The firstborn of your sons shall be give to me. This does not mean human sacrifice. And you shall do the same with your oxen, with your sheep. It shall be with its mother 7 days, and on the eighth day you shall give it to me. You shall be holy men to me, therefore you shall not eat any flesh torn to pieces in the field. You shall throw it to the dogs. So don't waste it. Don't let it rot. Give it to your animals to eat. Give it to the predators that you have in your possession, or the pigs. But they don't probably wouldn't have pigs because they don't eat pig. They don't have a reason to raise a pig if you're not going to eat it. So you have dogs that you're going to be feeding it to. But nowadays you feed it to a pig or a dog or whatever you have available that's going to eat meat because pigs will eat anything, um, including people. Anyway, you shall be holy men to me, therefore you shall not eat any. There again, the holiness. God is emphasizing the holiness. You are to redeem, this gets back into the Passover, you're to redeem the firstborn, you're to redeem the first fruit, you're to redeem the first harvest because God has redeemed us. It's pretty cool. So, you shall not throw it, or you shall throw it to dogs. You shall not bear a false report. So again, legal. You do not lie in court. Do not join your hand with a wicked man to be a malicious witness. If you are falsifying your testimony, that's very dangerous. It's very bad. Hello.
hello, Chris. I'm back.
Back
And
again.
in my absence, I did want to. I was interested in your take on that when you were talking about blaspheme God or the ruler of your people,
Mhm.
because I feel like in America and in the West more so. Well, actually, probably now more so America. we have this high view of free speech,
Right.
and the Bible isn't so open on that, I feel like. Uh,
Not
Now
open
again,
for free
it's
speech.
not the same kind of governance that we have, and I do think like in America, free speech it is the best system in a non-theocratic society, but I
Mm,
do think we need to be careful when we criticize other cultures that have like blasphemy laws and things, uh, because so does the Bible.
that's fair.
And again, this is what like when I was bringing up earlier, uh, making sure that you align with the author. So what is your take? Do you because you made a good point. Like what happens if you're ruled by like an evil tyrant? How do you handle that? Because we
I
do
think the only
have
logical conclusion would be that
because we have like Elijah with Ahab, he was not afraid to
he cursed him.
um right. But then we have Paul in the New Testament when he's talking he calls, I forget what he calls him, but someone he's speaking with the high priest, and he doesn't realize he's the high
Mm,
priest, and then somebody steps up and slaps him and says, "How dare you speak to the high priest that way?" And then Paul actually apologizes and says, "You're right, for the commandment says not to." I think it might be that actual. He's quoting that commandment, and he apologizes for speaking that way to he said, "I didn't know he was the high priest." Wait, no, that can't be. Do you know what I'm thinking of? Paul's on trial
yep,
somewhere.
yep, it's right here.
I don't want to butcher the story.
Turn off. Paul replied, "Brothers, I did not realize that he was the high priest, for it is written, 'Do not speak evil about the ruler of your people.'"
Mm,
And so, specifically going, he went straight to the Sanhedrin. "My brothers, I fulfilled my duty to God in all good conscience to this day." And this, the high priest Ananias ordered those standing near Paul to strike him on the mouth. Then Paul said to him, "God will strike you, you whitewashed wall. You sit there to
mm,
judge me according to the law, yet you yourself violate the law by commanding that I be struck." Those who were standing near Paul said, "How dare you insult God's high priest?" Paul replied, "Brothers, I did not realize that he was the high priest."
mm,
So this is the whitewashed wall or whitewashed tomb.
mm,
So he's like quoting Jesus, which is
mm.
also kind of interesting.
Right.
Um, yep. So like, how could he have access to Jesus if the Gospels are written so late?
Mm,
James also quotes Jesus in Matthew.
mm.
Interesting. And James is written pretty early because it's still called a synagogue
Yeah.
of a
Right.
meeting. It's called a synagogue. Anyway, um,
Yeah.
so
Sorry.
not to derail even further into other Bible studies, but there's some really cool Bible studies you can do with the language usage of the Gospels in the rest of the Bible, rest of the New Testament. So we do have this, and it's difficult for me. Um, the high priest there is not being maliciously evil or a tyrant. I'm trying to
I
think of like,
think, well, no, because he is kind of against Jesus, and I think if for me, what I would think is like, say for example, whatever president, we don't have to name a particular one. It can be any U.S. president, right? Now, if they were doing something biblically evil, then you have every right to call that out and
as the
say,
prophets did,
right. Now, but
right?
if you say like, can you believe the hair on that guy, or did you see how he tripped and fell, or
Yeah,
maybe
like do
that's
not
what it is,
mock
more like
them.
slanderous stuff just for the sake
Yeah,
of, that's what I would
yeah.
think.
I was looking at the root of it. Kalel. And it says small insignificant. I guess I'm gonna pull this up real quick. Bible word study. All the different ways it's used. So blaspheme, swift to recede, are swift, humbled, as though it were not serious, should be despised, she despises. But the first one and primary one is curse.
Hmm.
And it is used in lots of different places. So as he cursed Shemi, said, get out, you murderer, you scoundrel. And then do curse David is an interesting context there, but curse the day of his birth for that. It seems to be like the way we would actually use curse now.
Yeah,
I
like
haven't
a
done a deep
cuss
dive
word
into
or
this.
like dirty language maybe or
No,
just
not
crass.
not necessarily profanity, but more like speaking negatively against it in a way that like I rue the day I was born type language
Mm,
is what Job is doing here. So
mm,
Job is like, I wish I was never born type stuff. So it's denouncing in a way that you are uh saying something, you're pronouncing something negative onto it is what a curse is. So if I were to curse you, if I were to hex you from like witchcraft, I would be declaring something onto your being that is not true. It's like if I wished for you, or if I wished for like my cow mug to get cancer, that would be a curse onto my cow mug.
mm.
I'm actually gonna hypothetically curse you. So if I'm like
Thank you.
cursing something, I think that's more of what it is. Like you're wishing ill or negative onto someone with your words or your heart, because you can curse in your heart as well.
Hmm.
So it's not profanity. I think that the reason why cursing and profanity, if I remember correctly, the way like it got blended together, because profanity is its very own separate thing. You can technically curse someone using no profanity whatsoever, as I
Right.
just mentioned with the wishing cancer onto something.
Hmm.
That would be a curse. It wouldn't be any curse words, but if you were to say like uh the D word onto something, you are wishing for that thing to be in hell.
Hmm.
So if you were to say that phrase, you are cursing that thing to hell. That's why
Hmm.
it is used as a curse word. It's used as profanity. Uh, you shall not curse God, nor curse a ruler of your people. You shall not wish anything ill onto God, nor wish ill things onto the ruler of your people. So again, I would say this is where the black and white doesn't actually, it's not applied very well. Of if there is a bad situation with your ruler, because the Bible also says that the rulers are appointed by God.
Right.
But is that every time, literally? Is he appointing like the pointy mustache man to office in Germany? I don't know if I would say that. I think that's a step too far. But he does have general dominion authority to appoint judges and rulers of his people and just all the people. Because I don't remember if it is all rulers of all nations or just specifically the rulers of the Israelites. By the way, the Israelites had really terrible leaders, really terrible
Right.
rulers that were punished by God and had early deaths
Hmm.
because of that. So you could say, oh, well, God doesn't want us to curse it because it defiles our heart. If you have a heart condition that you're actively cursing someone, that might be the reason why he doesn't want you to do it. And he will take care of it as he did with the kings of any super evil king only was king for a couple of years because God like
Hmm.
wiped him out. It could be like he's sending prophets, he's dealing with the evil himself, or by specific instances that it happens. But generally, you shouldn't have a heart in which you want to curse things.
Hmm.
That might be how again that specific this question I haven't thought about before, so that's like off the cuff answer to that.
Uh-huh.
Um, but yeah, I think that's my answer. If I think of anything else while we go through other things, I'll um, talk about it. So, thank you. Hello, brother. Hello. So are there any part of the law, if any, that have been dealt away with? I personally would say circumcision and kosher keeping, but not done away with in the point that it has no benefit to you. They're still good. You probably should get circumcised because it's health benefits. You should eat kosher because it's health benefits. But as a requirement, uh, again, my position is that we are not required to do anything. We do things to be faithful to God because he says, if you love me, you'll keep my commandments. Now, what are the commandments is the question, it's the debate of we are not keeping the commandments out of salvation or out of piety or out of any of that stuff. We're keeping the commandments out of love. My son loves me by listening to me. If I tell him, hey, you're not going to get any cheesecake that I just made if you're complaining and crying all the time, and then he complains and cries and then demands cheesecake, that's not very loving to me. It's not honoring to me. If he then, does what he's supposed to do tomorrow morning, we'll see. He'll get cheesecake tomorrow.
Well,
So
and you
there's
also
this
wouldn't be a
this
loving
reward that's going to
father
happen.
to tell him that and then say, "Oh, you
Not
know
give
what?
him
You know,
cheesecake.
you cried enough, so I guess I'll give you the cheesecake." Because you're doing two
True.
things. One, you're going
Yes.
back on your
Right.
word, and you're also reinforcing for him that if, first of all, you don't have to listen to me, and second of all, you can get what you want if you want to cry enough.
Right. Which
I
is
mean,
not
I
good.
think unfortunately, the idea of love itself has been so romanticized, and we don't understand that biblical love it includes that, but also there is a duty part of love that, I mean, how many times have you heard people who've gotten divorced because they said, I fell out of love with the person?
Yeah. It's stupid.
And so you just had you had an emotional your only
Hmm.
connection was emotional, and your only faithfulness to the person was emotional. And so, I mean, who would enter into an agreement like that? Who would you, I mean,
Right.
that's not the kind of love I would accept, is that, oh, you get an emotional thrill out of me, and I get one out of you, so let's just do that, and then, but then it's potentially could wear off at any point with that's a very scary type of thing, and it really is not love at all. There's love that is an emotion, and there's also love that is a more biblical thing, which is it's a it's a
Choice.
it's a it's a choice, and it's a duty.
Hmm.
That's what makes real love so precious, is that even when it makes no sense for me to do so, I will still love you. That's the kind of
Actively
love we
choosing
learn
it.
from Jesus. Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah, I mean, while we were yet sinners, he loved us. And also love your enemies. Really, as far as existence goes, that is the stupidest thing any person could ever do, is to love your enemy. That is so stupid. Uh, because why would you do that? Why would you love your enemy?
Yeah.
And then you do hear a lot, because there is something to the idea of when you hate somebody, it's what do they say? It's like you're taking the poison to kill your enemy. I do agree with that.
Hmm.
Hatred is bad, but love is not anti-hatred. It's a lot more than that. And also, you don't love for your own benefit. You don't forgive somebody because if you continue to hate them, it would make you feel bad or make you sick. that that might work for carnally minded people, and it only works so far. Real love forgives because you realize that you were forgiven, and you are passing that on to that person, because you are
Right.
called to imitate Jesus, and that's what he did. We don't imitate Jesus so that we could gain eternal life. We don't imitate Jesus because it would make us righteous. We don't imitate Jesus because we do it because he loved us, and we are so grateful that we do it out of love for him, the same way that a child loves their parents and a parent loves their child, regardless of what happens. So it really is important to kind of have a biblical idea of what love is, just like faith is kind of the same thing. Biblically, faith is not, it's not blind. That exists.
Hmm.
You can have blind faith in certain situations, but really what faith means in the Bible is trust. Like the Hebrew word is emunah, which we say amen or amen. It means like trustworthy or established. And I
Hmm.
think I think I looked it up. It's the same in Greek when it comes the meanings for the words in Greek and Hebrew. It's the way that if I tell my daughter, if
Is
she
it
says, "Daddy,"
veritas?
that's truth. That's truth in Latin.
That's truth. Yeah.
Um,
Anyway,
but
sorry.
if I tell my daughter, if my daughter says, "Can we go to the store tomorrow and get some candy?" and I say yes,
Mm.
she has no clue what's going to go on between now and tomorrow, or if, I mean, the store could burn down or all this. None of that stuff she thinks about. All she thinks about is my daddy said yes, and we're going to go to the store tomorrow and get candy. And she has reason to believe that because I tell her the truth. And that's what faith is biblically. It's not she's all of a sudden I go to her and say, tomorrow a magical unicorn is going to come down from the sky, blah, 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 and she'd be like, what? I don't know. What's wrong with my dad right now? But you know, you get denigrated a lot from outsiders or atheists, especially that, oh, you know, your whole life is based on things you don't know, and you're just stupid and you just blindly follow it. That's not, I don't follow God because it sounds good or it makes me feel good, or I follow God because he has several times throughout my entire life proven himself to me, and I have no reason to doubt him. And so I trust in him because he's proven himself trustworthy. And that's faith.
Mhm.
And so even if he says something where it'd be like, "Oh, really? Really, God, you think that?" I would do it because I know I can trust him. And but it's not
Yeah.
just all of a sudden, uh, oh, I read it in a book. I read the Bible and now all of a sudden I just believe it because it said so. There are people
Mm,
like that, but they're not, that's not the biblical definition of faith. And the same thing
right.
with love. Love is not just an emotion. God forbid. I
Okay.
mean,
All right, gotta go to Luke now. Gotta let me pull up my New Testament. Um, so there's a beautiful thing with Luke with the word that he's used. What is it? Why can't I find it? Let me just. Oh, I'm searching the wrong thing. Okay, hold on. Over and over. So if we go to Luke 23:34, there's a pretty cool thing here. I had to pull up so I have a verse by verse throughout the entire Gospels. I have a commentary that I wrote. So I had to pull up in my
oh
commentary
wow.
to be able to find exactly the verse, which was. Yeah, I was gonna write a thing like the Gospel according to Chris, and be like my name and Chris like white, and then have a T in red, like yeah.
Oh, cool.
Anyway, it's a little cute thing I thought about. Anyway, so here's one of the interesting passages here where it talks about the thief on the cross and why he converted. So before, the criminals were on his right and his left, and they were mocking him. They were looking, they were mocking him. And eventually, the criminal, the thief on the cross, comes to faith in him and trust him. And he is saved because of his faith, because of his trust. And we think about, okay, is this blind faith or not? What is he actually having faith on? What is he actually thinking about? What is happening to get him to convert? And my I love this passage so much because of this one word. And it says, but Jesus was saying, Father, forgive them, for they do not know what they are doing. But there's an interesting tense here in the Greek with the word said. So if we look at this in the Greek, there's something really beautiful and cute that we see here. So this word here, elion, or eligon, it means to speak, it means speech. I can zoom in a little bit that zoomed in a lot of it. Oh, why does it go from 240 to 360? That's such a stupid jump in. Anyway, so this word here is pretty special.
Elegant.
Elegant. Yeah. The reason why it is special is it's in the imperfect tense of the word. The imperfect tense means it happens over and over again.
Mhm.
over and over and over and over again. So Jesus didn't may have not said this just once on the cross. He may have been repeating, Father, forgive them, for they know not what they're doing 100 times, 300 times. We don't know how much he was saying on the cross because it just records little snapshots of the cross. But based on the tense of this Greek here, he may have been saying, Father, forgive them, for they know not what they're doing, over and over and over and over again, even as they're insulting him, even as they're hurling insults at him, dividing his garments, shouting insults at him, making fun of him this entire time. He just repeats over and over again, Father, forgive them. They do not know what they're doing. And the thief on the cross is looking at that. And he puts his trust in that man because even though he's enduring such a heavy, terrible punishment, some of the just pain we can't imagine unless you've been through it. He's going through that and he's repeatedly saying, Father, forgive them, for they know not what they're doing. That is faith. That is faith based on evidence of this man is obviously not human. This man is something more, something greater. And we get Jesus giving a gospel message to the people around him on the cross, to where the thief on the cross converts and puts his life and his trust and his hope in Christ because of his love that he shows on the cross by forgiving them moment by moment because they don't actually know what they're doing to their Savior. That's faith. That's the faith that we should have. It's not based on blindness. It's not based on anything. It's trust based on evidence. The thief on the cross had the evidence of the heart of Christ on the cross next to him. Even though he was the thief on the cross was insulting Jesus, Jesus forgave him.
Well, and you know what's really funny is, I mean, just saying that once is enough.
Yeah.
But if he were to be saying it several times, that's something I had not heard before. So whether it was once or 10 or twice even, I mean,
Yeah.
that
We don't
that
know how many
statement alone
times.
is, yeah, but yeah, definitely. I mean, it's really humanly incomprehensible.
Yeah.
I don't know how anybody could not like come to tears at reading that.
Mhm. It's amazing. God
Hmm.
loves us so much that he's willing to forgive us over and over and over and over again, even while we are killing him, even
Hmm.
while we have nailed him to the cross. He still loves us enough to forgive
After
us,
brutally beating him too.
pulling out his beard, shoving thorns
Hmm.
into his head, pounding them in.
Spitting on him.
Yeah. Yeah, he
He's
forgives
pretty
them.
awesome.
He's pretty amazing, man. Yeah. It's pretty amazing. So, um, it's, back to the law. Uh, oh, there's the one question. I don't know if they're still here, but do I read questions from chat or they need to be super chats? I do read questions from chat. I just was a bit slow because I didn't want to interrupt his thing. So, if there was a temple, would there be sacrifices still? I know my position's no. I think your position's yes.
I had this talk with somebody recently. I think we have a sacrifice is kind of a dirty word in a lot of Christianity. I only speak from my own personal experience before I started keeping Torah or felt the push from God to do so. Sacrifice to me seemed like the ultimate insult to God because it felt like I was negating everything Jesus did, and by saying, "Look, you know your work wasn't good enough, so here I have to go do this." But I don't think that's the biblical uh, presentation of sacrifice. And so I think an important thing to consider is in Acts 21, when Paul comes to Jerusalem and he meets with James, the brother of Jesus,
Mhm.
was the like the prince, head of the council of the believers. And actually, Chris, you're so good. Would you be able to pull that up? Acts 21, chapter 21. I think it starts maybe 15 or 17, where the story kind of picks up.
Yeah.
If you wanted to read it, because I think this is something for us as Christians to really consider when it comes to temple worship. This isn't the only thing, but I think this is a really important one to consider.
Right.
Uh,
It's 18. So this is
okay.
like whenever we have this discussion eventually on camera versus being off camera,
Mhm.
and this is going to come up in it. So in the following
Definitely,
day, Paul
definitely.
went in with us to James, and all the elders were present. And after he had greeted them, he began to relate one by one the things which God did among the Gentiles through his ministry. And when they heard it, they began glorifying God, and they said to him, "You see, brother, how many thousands there are among the Jews of those who have believed, and they are all zealous for the law. And they have been told about you that you are teaching all the Jews who are among the Gentiles to forsake Moses, telling them not to circumcise their children, nor to walk according to the customs. What then is to be done? They will certainly hear that you have that you have come. Therefore, do this that we tell you. We have 4 men who are under a vow, and take them and purify yourself along with them, and pay their expenses so that they may shave their heads. Then all will know that there is nothing to the things which they have been told about you, but that you yourself also walk orderly, keeping the law. But concerning the Gentiles who have believed, we wrote, having decided that they should keep from meat sacrificed to idols, from blood, and from what is strangled, and from sexual immorality. Then Paul took the men the next day, purifying himself along with them, went to the temple, giving notice of the completion of the days of purification until the sacrifice was offered for each one of them.
So a couple reasons why I brought that up, but specifically for this particular question, Paul was, well, so let's start with James. James says, do this,
Mhm.
and Paul says, oh yeah, that's a good, like Paul goes along with it. And part of
Right.
it, so this is specifically talking about if people are familiar with the Nazarite vow, I think it's Numbers chapter 6 or 7, and my 5-year-old will be very disappointed if I don't do this. But so the Nazarite vow was a particular thing you do
Uh,
in the temple or tabernacle times. It was like a way to kind of get closer to God, or to experience
hey, brother.
a heightened level of holiness. And so the reason that this is most likely, I mean, if not definitely the Nazarite vow, is because it talks about the shaving of the head. Because that
Right.
in the Nazarite vow,
That's
you
part of
you
it.
shave right. So James was encouraging Paul to do it, which, and again, this would Paul paid for the sacrifices and was going to sacrifice himself. So my thoughts on sacrifice are, because they are a picture of Jesus, just like observing all the biblical holy days are a picture of Jesus, just like, I mean, anything I do really is a picture of Jesus, and any of the commandments is. And so
Right.
I'm not sacrificing because I believe it takes my sin away or does this. I'm sacrificing because it's living out yet another representation of Jesus and what he's done for us. In the same way that loving my enemy is imitating Jesus and illustrating or bringing his uh, behavior into the world, imitate in imitation of him. So when I keep Passover, when I abstain from leavened bread for a week,
Right.
I don't do that because I think it brings me holiness or it makes me righteous. I do that because Jesus did it, and Jesus commanded it, and I'm actually honored to be able to imitate my Lord. And so with sacrifices, I kind of view them the same way. I don't look to them as they are not doing anything, they're not achieving anything for me. I am blessed to be able to participate in something that glorifies my God, and uh, is yet another picture of what he's done for us. And I don't know if I maybe veered off too much. I hope I answered the question, or somewhat close to it.
Right.
Uh,
You
it's kind
view
of
the sacrificial system the same as like participation in the bread and the wine.
yes, correct. Right.
Yep.
Thank you, Chris. That's a very quick way of saying all that I tried to say.
I get that.
But well, the reason I went
Rabbi,
to the New Testament though was because we see Paul and James fine with it.
mm,
And so, you know, you got to be kind of a big shot to go head to head with either one of those guys, I'd say.
it's
So,
fair. Yeah. Yeah. Just gets back into all the discussion of the law,
mm,
which we can save for another time if you
mm,
so want. Um, Especially because we've been like 2 hours and 45 minutes into this already. That's going to be like a 3-hour conversation by
yeah.
itself. So the first time
Part
we had it, it
one.
was like 6 hours. So we'll see
Yeah.
how long the discussion goes. Uh, but yeah, there's so much to go through for all of the law keeping stuff.
Mm,
It's quite an extensive study to go through. Um, yeah, but it gets back into the law. So like the reason why I love the law, the reason why I love Torah, the reason why I'm even taking the time to teach Torah, however well I teach it, is it's all about Jesus. Ultimately, it's about the heart of man, treating each other as humans, having the kind of heart that God wants for us to live faithfully with Him. But it's also all about Jesus. There's so much typology in the law. It's insane how much typology there is in the law. You can do multiple hour-long streams on just typology from the Torah. Not even the people, the objects, the legal code, the
mm,
festivals. Like, it's all Jesus quite
mm-hmm.
explicitly, as we went over with that stream on Passover. It's all Jesus. Even the man-made stuff is about Jesus because God is that
Yeah,
cool.
that's hilarious. I saw you've gotten an interesting commenter on that one who was accusing you of cherry picking, which
Oh
is
yeah,
uh, which is very funny because it's not cherry picking when you're just pointing out, you're not picking anything. You're just saying, "Hey, look at that, look at that, look at that."
yeah. I
That's
went through
not
the
cherry
entire
picking.
Seder and like the
Yeah.
whole ceremony. I'm like, everything you're just talking about. It's like, oh yeah, I cherry picked by going through 100% of it. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, I was following
Yeah,
along with that, and I was thinking, wow, this guy uh, doesn't really get it. He doesn't really get his own position.
yeah, that's interesting. Um, so Radar Apologetics is a messianic a Jew. He's a rabbi. So how much do you hold to the Talmud? I am curious. Like I know the Midrash has a lot of insight into it.
Hmm.
Or do you mean specifically on just the logos, like the memra of the Lord? And going through the Targum, like Targum Jonathan with the memra of God, like the word of God being the creator, the word of God being the sacrifice, the word of God interacting in this world and being a representative, or Neophyte with the divine logos being the one who speaks being into reality, which is really based. In
Hmm.
Neophyte, it says that in the beginning was the word, and the through like or in the beginning with great wisdom and knowledge, the word of the Lord created the heavens and the earth. And then it was goes through the whole thing of there's no actually I'm just bringing it up real quick.
Okay.
This is a really cool thing. If you guys have never read Targum Neophyte, which why would the vast majority of the people watching this have read Targum Neophyte? But Targum Neophyte is pretty based. So let me stop streaming Logos real quick because the version I have on Logos doesn't actually have a complete um, Genesis 1, unfortunately. So let me pull up this one. So here's Genesis 1 as we have from the Hebrew. And here is it from Neophyte. So from the beginning with wisdom, I can make this bigger. Do, 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 do. From the beginning with wisdom, the memra, the logos, the word, of the Lord created and perfected the heavens and the earth was waste and unformed, desolate of man and beast, empty of plant cultivation and of trees, and darkness was spread over the face of the abyss, and a spirit of mercy from before the Lord was blowing over the surface of the waters. And the memra of the Lord said, "Let there be light," and there was light according to the decree of his memra. And it was manifest before the Lord that the light was good, and the memra of the Lord separated the light from the darkness. And the memra of the Lord called the light daytime, and the darkness he called night. So now he's a he. And he is doing all these actions. He is doing all this creative stuff. And it's the
So in
memra.
what time period is this written, Chris?
This is 300s or something. Depends.
80.
Yeah, 80. It depends who you ask. But
So
this
even up
exact
until
same
that
language.
point.
Yeah, there's still a divine logos in the early rabbinic tradition. Yes. There's a divine Messiah in the early rabbinic tradition where you have the name of the Messiah is pre-eternal. Before creation, the name of the Messiah existed, according to the Midrash and Talmud. I believe it's the Mishnah, but I have that all. I have a long list of documents for divine Messiah from the early rabbinic writings. But Jonathan, which is contemporary to Christ, it's actually what have been used in the synagogues because that's anywhere from 50 BC to 50 AD is the time frame of Jonathan's writing. Jonathan has this exact same language. Now, Jonathan is of the prophets in the history book. It doesn't have Genesis. Pseudo Jonathan comes way later in history, but it still has some that kind of language. And then Onkelos is the oldest Torah that we have for the Targums. But Jonathan of like Isaiah, like I can bring that up real quick. We have Isaiah.
You have a very good video on that, I think, don't you?
Yeah. It's pretty based. If you go check out my Isaiah 53 video, it's pretty cool. Talmud is the Mizrah of Israel. It is the framework of Judaism. Yeah, I was just interested how much you hold to it. We really just need to talk, man. I would love to just have a call, talk about stuff. Ready to post. Check your comment section at the end of the stream. All right, will do. If you have a link to it, if you're not just like, are you posting a wall of text or are you posting a link to a document? If you have a link to the document, we can go through it right now if you want.
Is this the 32 Theses guy?
Yeah, it's the 32 Theses guy.
Oh, he's still here. Wow.
Yeah, anyway. The logos, the divine logos is all over the place in the Jewish sources. You can't really avoid it. If you do, you're just denying.
And it completely destroys this idea that you hear from if you ever talk to Jews where, oh, this is just the New Testament is the way they do things and the way they exegete things, and this is not Jewish in any way. It has nothing. We would never think this of that, or we would never view this prophecy as this. It's just all this stuff is shows that that's. I mean, they were thinking a lot of the same things and had no problem with it. It was just they were surprised by who showed up. They wanted some they wanted like a bar
military
kochba
leader
or something.
Right, and it just didn't work because that's not who he was supposed to be.
Right.
Yeah. No, I just returned to inform you. Okay. I did not forget. I was waiting for it. I'm excited.
I'm really interested
worry.
too.
Yeah. We'll take the time to respond. Actually, I need to record a video.
Yeah.
I don't have a video out for Friday yet. Then my editors, I feel bad. Anyway. So long tangent. Anyway, yeah, the Memra stuff is really based if you go through the Targums. Targum Jonathan is just rich in anti-modern rabbinic Judaism that rejects so much of Christianity for no reason. So like in the servant songs in Isaiah, for example, Messiah is thrown in. That's pretty based. Like, what do you do with that? If you go through like Isaiah 41, it says my servant, the Messiah, does it. So the Jews of Second Temple Judaism during the reign of Christ, or during the life of Christ, because he's reigning now, during the life of Christ, the Messiah was the servant in Isaiah. What do you do with that?
Well, you know what's funny too? You take Jesus out of the whole picture. We know of other messiahs, self-proclaimed messiahs, or thought to be messiahs. It was a big deal at that time. That was a thing that was going on. They were expecting a
Right.
messiah at that time.
Right. Even the
So,
Samaritans were expecting the Messiah.
mm,
It's almost like we had a
so
prophecy when the Messiah would come, and he came during
right.
that time period. Imagine that. Like God told us, like, hey, here's this timeline of events where the Messiah is going to come back, and Daniel, and it's like, I wonder
Mhm.
when the Messiah is going to come back. And you just do a little bit
Yeah,
of math, and you're like, oh, hey, he should come back in this general time frame. And
because you
then
know what's
Jesus
funny,
comes during that time frame. It's like,
right? And before
why?
and since, we don't see this messianic fervor of could it be him? Could it be him? We obviously do with like Chabad and everything.
Yeah, the
They
Zohar
one of their
and the
slogans, we want
craziness. But
Mashiach now. But
yeah,
but
well,
there's
they
not,
also had a
you don't go
fake
all over.
Messiah. Oh, what was that guy?
Oh,
The Hasidics had a fake Messiah.
Menachem Mendel Schneerson, the Rebbe. Is that the one?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, and
Still
they've
to this
never
day, you'll
recovered.
see they have on their kippot, they have in Hebrew like Melech Mashiach, something King Messiah,
The King
referencing
Messiah.
the Rebbe. Yeah.
Yeah.
Even though I'm pretty sure he explicitly said he wasn't. But I
Yeah.
think it was a small group of his followers after he died, kind of propagated that idea that he was. But it's been a
Right.
while since I'm refreshed myself on that situation.
Yeah. Anthony Rogers does have a lot of resources on it. I've written like hundreds of pages on Jesus in the Old Testament. I just haven't made that many videos on it. Um, I need to. Like most of my private Bible studies that we do is just Jesus in the Old Testament. Um, it's pretty because it's so important. It really is. I
Mhm.
spend the vast majority of my time teaching the Old Testament, and then spend a little bit of time teaching the New Testament. Um, and I don't even follow the Old Testament law, so but it's still really important. Anyway, yeah, I could beat my chest enough about the law, and people still will not do anything with it. Anyway, go for a bit longer. I might call it because it's 11, and I do need sleep at some point.
Oh yeah, it's 11 for you. It's 12 for me. At first, I got excited when he said 11. I was like, "Wow, that's not too bad."
That's funny. Yeah, you're not gonna go sleep for like another 2 hours though, even if
Yeah,
you weren't on the stream.
right.
Yeah.
I'm
Okay.
working on it though. I'm working on it.
Okay, let's see if we can get through. We're not gonna be able to get through 23. All right, my goal is to get through the 23. We'll end it.
Okay.
Okay, so 22, we were. I think at the end of it. Yeah, no, we just started 23. So let's get through 23, and we'll end it, and we'll see how awesome and based Christ is.
I like that idea.
Yeah. You shall not bear a false report. I already went through this a bit. You shall not follow the masses in doing evil. That is such an important one, man.
That I love.
That is
That's another
so
one that
important.
you isn't one
Just
of those things where you're like, wow, that's really a commandment? Like mob mentality
it's so
behaviors.
important. Yeah.
Yeah,
You are not excused by joining a mob. You're not
very cool.
excused by being swept up in a mob mentality. You are
Mm,
always, always, always responsible for your actions, no matter what. Even when you're drunk, even when you're part of a mob, no matter what mental state you're in, you are responsible for your actions.
mm,
That's pretty based. Nor should you
yeah.
testify in a case so as to turn aside after the masses in order to cause justice to be turned aside. If it is expedient for you to lie in court because it's what the people want to hear, you are going to be condemned. Do not lie to please people in court. Pretty based. Nor shall you be partial to the poor man in his case. So as we mentioned earlier, he has all these protections against the poor, but he also has balance. It's not extremes. This is not a law book of extremes. This is a law book of wisdom. You shall not be partial to the poor. You shall not be partial to the rich. You shall to protect everyone. Everyone has worth. We are all humans. Even the Muslims, we are all humans. They have worth. They have value. We need to first be representative of Christ to them to lead them to faith. And then if it has to be hostile, it becomes hostile. That's not our first result. Even though a lot of the times our flesh wants it to be the first. It's not supposed to be. So, and I got to convict myself of that often because I was like, I was thinking of like if I had all like 1.7 million Muslims or a cow, I choose the cow.
Well, notice
like going
everybody.
through that.
Does Chris drink from 1.7 billion Muslims, or does he drink from a cow? The choice is clear. So Chris has got a lot of work to do.
Not like the men of Al-Zut drinking from them.
Yeah.
Yeah. So majority rules do not work. The Bible is based and red-pilled against democracy. Anyway, pure democracy is evil. Mob rule. If you meet your enemy's ox, it really is. Like people. Anyway, if you meet your neighbor's ox or his donkey wandering away, you shall return it to him. This is another super based law. If you meet your enemy's ox or donkey, return it to him. That's insane. Love your enemies. Where that comes from?
Right.
Even if you hate someone, even if someone wants to kill you, you are to treat them with kindness, with goodness, as you'd want to be treated. Yeah. Chris got to spend time sorting through those CDs. Brother. Sebastian, you saw that whole stream that got taken down. It's yeah. Going through Sharia and going through
I still need
Muslims
to
have done history.
Still need to see that one. It looks very exciting.
The Sham or Sharia?
Yeah, I kind of feel like it's majority Sharia. If I could guess ahead of time.
That game show is 50-50, so I deliberately made it 50-50.
Oh, is it really? So it was, wow, so you were fair.
I was fair. Yeah. It's slightly more Sharia than made up, but I tricked him a lot with the made up stuff. I tricked chat a lot with the made up stuff too, which made me pretty happy. There's like one question I tricked everyone. I was like, hey,
wow,
that's pretty based.
Hey, does that kind of
pretty happy
does that qualify for the Quranic challenge of write something like this?
No. It'd be really funny if it did, but no.
It's like, maybe is there somebody here? Chris maybe came up with something that matches the Quran.
I still think I wrote a surah. I think I wrote a surah better than the Quran personally, but all the Muslims were coping about it. Just saying, I wrote surah 115, the ending, and that's what I called it, and wrote it. I had several translators work on it in Arabic to get it into Quranic Arabic. I used direct sentences from the Quran, but I altered them to make it coherent and an actual ending and not gibberish. I think it's better myself personally. Muslims are like, oh, it's cope. You're using the Quran. And I was like, the Quran repeats itself with the exact same phrase hundreds of times. What do you mean? Yeah, no. So I just expanded on 5.3, Surah 5.3, which is today Allah has perfected your religion for you, which is not actually the ending of the Quran, even though they say it is. They say it's from the final hijrah, like the final, the journey to the
like chronologically.
Yeah, like at the end of his life, like months later he died. So his final thing that he ever did was go back to the Kaaba, sacrifice a bunch of camels, and then lay like either naked in the sand or like not very clothed in the sand in front of the Kaaba
Sacrifice a bunch of biblically unclean animals.
to a pagan statue. Yes.
Interesting.
Yeah. But the Islamic dilemma is not real, guys. Anyway. So he did that, and then he died shortly after while saying his aorta was severed while reaching for a pen and paper. And he totally was not poisoned by his wives repeatedly for years. Yeah. So throw that out there, too. Anyway. Yeah, I got all the Shias like, yeah! Sunnis are like, no. Yeah. I'm just saying, Aisha, she did destroy part of the Quran. Who knows?
She
Man.
did, or
I would not.
let
I would
it
not
be
blame
destroyed.
her.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Well,
would
especially
not blame her.
the part that went missing.
Yeah, the
It's my
Muhammad.
personal opinion where it's like she was like, "Oh no, oh no," because the poor girl. Like she
It also makes me wonder if like he made her do that at any point before she destroyed it. That's why she destroyed it.
Oh gosh, yeah. I mean, who's to say?
Who knows how
I
old she
wouldn't
was
be
whenever that was happening
surprised.
too.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, she
He
was
turned
younger than
18 when he
18.
died.
Right.
Yeah.
It's gross to think about. Yeah, some of that stuff
It
is
is.
just
Yeah. Islam is not enjoyable.
no.
Yeah. So my full stream on the Shaman Tree is on Rumble. It's 3 hours long. The version on YouTube is only an hour because we cut the rest of it.
Wow. Okay.
So, the last hour is just some of the most depraved stuff from the Islamic sources. I just put a compilation of the depravity of Islam at the tail end of the stream, and that stream got taken down. So,
Isn't that very
YouTube,
Islamophobic of YouTube?
I would say so myself, but yeah. So hard not to curse our Australian PM at the moment.
Yeah, my brother
Same
and I were
with,
talking.
Starmer.
He's like, I've never even heard of that part of Australia. And I said, yeah, I didn't even know there were Jews in Australia. It's like, what are you doing? What are you doing there?
Well, down under my, like. Anyway. Oh, yeah, no, there's Jews everywhere. Surprisingly enough, I would not be surprised if there's even
Not
Jews
so much in the
Antarctica.
Middle East, really.
Yes, they do not survive long there. Anyway. So, keep far from a false charge and do not kill the innocent or the righteous, for I will not justify the guilty. I will not justify the guilty, again, is based. He's getting people to think about the evil that they're doing, and it's so cool. Like, do not falsely condemn people of sin, and do not kill the innocent or the righteous. That is such a base thing of like, hey, you judges, do not condemn these people. So this is a prohibition against the judges and the people like making the charges, but the judges themselves are to be held accountable, and he will not acquit the guilty.
Well, and we see this very thing take place at Jesus's trial, which is crazy to think. I mean, literally breaking these commandments here, where they're bringing false witness, and they do it so poorly that it says that they weren't even their lives weren't even agreeing with each other.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And then
they brought him out during the nighttime, which you're not supposed to do either.
Mhm.
So like his entire trial was breaking the Torah.
Correct.
His entire trial, every aspect of the trial was breaking Torah, and they were condemned for it. So not only did they condemn an innocent man, they did it illegally every single way.
Yep, every way possible.
Every way you could possibly break the commandments of judgments.
And then had to turn him over to Gentiles to be executed.
Talk about disgraceful, dude. That's insane. Anyway. So, and you shall not take a bribe, for a bribe blinds the clear-sighted and subverts the cause of the just. Super based. You shall not oppress a sojourner, since you yourselves know the soul of a sojourner, for you also were sojourners in the land of Egypt. Also, they're currently sojourners in the land of the desert, but they're not yet. I guess they will be sojourners in the desert as well. So they go from sojourners in Egypt, where they didn't actually have a land of their own, then they sojourn in the desert for 40 years, and then they actually get their land. So this is more so like talking to the children, because even though they have not yet sinned and gone against Yahweh and, done the desert spiral, they will eventually do it. So he's
I love
speaking to a
that
people
saying
not
where
yet
it's
destroyed by it.
it took God one night to get the people of Israel out of Egypt, but it took 40 years to get Egypt out of the people of Israel.
It's so based. It's so cool. Especially whenever, like, the saddest part about the Exodus story is the Jews didn't trust Yahweh until they saw the army of Pharaoh destroyed on the beach.
Hmm.
It says that
After
explicitly. It
all
says that
the
they put their, after all the miracles, after the 10 plagues, after the Red Sea parting, after going through on dry land, after the pillar of fire separating Pharaoh from them, the time that they put their faith into God was when they saw the army destroyed. It took that much for them to trust God over the Egyptians. And even then, they went back. They're like, hey, we had better off as slaves in Egypt.
right. Ugh.
Crazy. Insane. Like, I don't know, like, and I don't know, like, so like people are quick to like demonize the Jews in that instance. It's like, no, it's just people. Any people
Oh
group would have done
yeah.
that.
I mean,
Because
the
humans
Jews
are
are
the
just a
worst.
picture of us, I mean, all of
Just
us
humanity.
is part of Israel as
Right.
followers of the King of Israel. And I mean, we do it every day. You know what I mean? If you've ever worried about paying rent on time, or if you're ever worried about what are you going to do if your car breaks down? I mean, how is it any different? You know what I mean? It's not really that different. We like to say, oh, they saw all this stuff, but also we know what they saw, and we've seen our own things. We actually kind of are worse than they were, because that was all new to them. This is stuff that we believe that's already been done, and there's been lots of other stuff in the meantime. I mean, they never saw the resurrected Son of God, and but we know the resurrected Son of God, and then we stress out if we get a late paycheck or something. It's very easy to look back and say, how could you? But then you realize you're just talking about yourself.
Right. Yeah. We are always hypocrites. No matter what we're
Mm.
doing, we're gonna end up being a hypocrite. And like, I've seen so many miracles in my life. I've seen crazy things. At one point in my church, there were 3 people that resurrected from the dead by prayer.
Oh
And
wow.
yet I can still doubt. Not I don't doubt Christ anymore. I haven't for
Mm.
a long time. But doubt, like, or become worried about things. And
Mm.
it's like, why am I worrying about my finances? Why am I worrying
Mm.
about my food? Why am I worrying about, like, is my burgers gonna burn? Which I don't typically worry about that, but sometimes I forget while I'm cooking. I get distracted and busy and whatnot. I've only burned food twice for my wife. Um, little side tangents, why not? So as I mentioned earlier in the stream, and for those who are not here, I was a chef. And I decided to be fancy. And I knew, hey, if you stir fry ginger, you can do it in strips.
Mm.
If you cook ginger in any other way, you cannot do it in strips. Didn't realize that whenever I decided to do it. So the first week of my marriage, I made her like lasagna and like all this, like, it was delicious. I decided to make her orange chicken. And orange chicken is one of her favorite foods. She'd never had it before. She had never had orange chicken because she grew up in like the middle of nowhere, rural South. So all she ever
Okay.
ate was like 5 things, and they were all like gravy and like bland.
Milk and
This milk and flour. That was her diet
yeah.
growing up. She never had Asian food. She never had like any like it was. I was like, okay, well, actually, no, that's not true. She had Chinese buffet, but only like
Okay.
3 things in the Chinese buffet. She didn't really have like Asian food. So I was like, okay,
Mm.
I'll make you some American Asian food. I'll make you some orange chicken. I decided to be fancy because I was like trying to, do one up. And I cut all of the ginger into strips. But it wasn't like whisper thin strips that would cook well. It was like there was some like it was like I julienned a carrot with the thickness.
Yeah,
of it.
yeah.
Yeah. So it's like you could like snap it.
Yeah.
I cooked it. It did not cook all the way through. If you've ever taken a bite of raw ginger before, it's a painful experience. It's worse than horseradish. If you want to replace your bitter herbs on the Sabbath, on Passover with ginger instead of horseradish, you're a braver man than I. That put some hair on your chest, man. That is the worst food I've ever tasted to such an extent.
I've done it, and I'm not going to tell that story. But don't eat raw ginger. Don't think, man, I really like this, and then just peel it with a spoon and then snack on it like that. Don't do that, because I did it, and don't. People who know me right now that are watching this will know that what happened, and that I won't say so, but just never do that. It tastes good.
So
Well, not. I mean, it's probably a very personal.
it's a strong
Uh,
flavor.
yeah.
Yeah. It's
I
very, very,
like
very,
it.
very, very strong flavor.
I like
If you're not
spicy, super
prepared for
spicy
it,
foods. Yeah, it's
it's
shocking.
it's a kick in the face.
Yeah.
She took a bite of it. She literally spit it out. She's never spit out my food before. She's like, even after that point, like I've made a couple things that are like, it's not that good. She spit out the food and she threw it away and she said, I'm not eating that. And before we got married, I like made her all like I made her like gnocchi, and then it's like I made her delicious stuff, man. And I made her that in the first week of our marriage. By like the end of the first week, and I was like, I'm never gonna live this
You
down.
blew it.
And to this day, like I've literally eaten dog poop before. It tasted better than this ginger. Like, the worst thing I've ever put in my mouth, by far, by none. Like I've done a lot of stupid stuff as a kid, like dares with like children and like stupid pranks, like tasting pee poop. Like vomit tasted better than this. It was insanely bad.
Man, it made me
It was
feel
right
bad
at the
right now
start of my
because I
marriage.
probably would have liked it, but it's rough on the plumbing because it's very fibrous. It's impossibly
Oh, brother.
fibrous.
Oh yeah. Can we nickname you Ginger? Well, the best part about that is I have a red beard. And other parts of my body have red patches too. So I am red. I'm a ginger, but I'm albino, so I don't have enough pigment to make this. Like the root of my hair, a right light can get like a little bit of red to it. But then I have like white hair on my head. So like you can call me Ginger, but I'm kind of a ginger.
Gingerish.
Oh, gingerish. I'm ginger ale. I don't know. Yeah, no, that's never again. But I've never made her that bad of food ever again. To this day, we've only thrown away food twice. Once when we left it out all night because we forgot about it, and then that food. I made her chicken piccata. The chicken was very cheap. It was Tyson chicken, and it boiled in the pan in oil because there's so much water in the chicken. I didn't, salt it before I cooked it.
Yeah, I hate
So it was
when
like
that happens.
boiling rubbery chicken, significantly better.
Is that the trick, Chris? If you salt the chicken first, like chicken like that, because that's, I remember when I first started cooking when I was a teenager and I was like, I'm gonna be fancy and I'm like gonna make chicken. And I got a whole bunch of chicken breasts and I cut them into like pieces and then I put them in a pan
Mm,
and it was just like it just boiled and they all got rubbery and gross. And I was like, well, how do you do this then? You salt it and it takes enough of the moisture out that it can actually cook and not get boiled. Is that the trick? That's super
yep.
interesting. That's good to know. I did not know that.
Yeah, you heavily salt it with kosher salt,
That's
and
what I
that
do
will
with
draw.
steak too.
Yeah, and then you have to pat it dry. And
Mm,
if you get a thick cut of like cheap Tyson chicken or any of the other like cheap chicken, the nicer lean chicken doesn't have that problem because they don't add water to it. Tyson adds water
okay.
to their chicken, You probably
Oh,
increase the
okay.
price of it, in my opinion.
Oh, well, yeah, by weight, I
Like the
guess
weight
is
of
how
it,
it's sold.
because it's priced by weight. But they have so much extra water and preservatives within the chicken to make it last longer, which
Mm.
also adds to the cost of it. But it's also extremely cheap chicken, so the cost kind of like evens out. Anyway, if you get super cheap chicken that's pumped full of water, if you chop it in half, you butterfly it, salt it heavily, and then don't salt it again whenever you actually cook it. The salt will be absorbed in the water whenever you pat it off. A lot of the salt is actually gone. So whenever I make chicken
Mm.
parm, I butterfly it, salt it, pat it dry, and it's like a 1/4 inch thick, and then fry it. And there's gonna be very, very juicy. Because water
Okay.
itself, it bursts the cells whenever it cooks. So if you have if you have a lot of water in any of your stuff that you're cooking, whenever it boils, it'll burst whatever cell it's in. So your vegetables, if you're blanching it and you do it too rapidly, or depending on the vegetable itself, if it's very watery, it will burst in different ways because of that. Same with like potatoes. But potatoes that can be useful if you're trying to make like really crunchy French fries, you want to like burst the skin a little bit to get the pectin
Okay.
at the right temperature. Anyway, uh, enough nerdy science and cooking stuff. But yeah, if your chicken is not very good and it's boiling, add salt. You should salt all of your meat and then pat it
That's
dry.
this is
Makes it
sad that I
juicier.
just
Fun
turned
fact.
40 and now I'm just learning how the because I always like we always if we get chicken we get chicken thighs because there's a higher fat content and it just cooks nicer and it
Yeah. Yeah. You
but
can't mess up
so
chicken thighs.
right, yeah, so salt, okay, I might like chicken breast now. This is revolutionary, Chris.
Yeah, salt is the thing that makes things taste good and also makes the chemistry better for almost all foods.
Because I
Imagine
just
that.
thought I was
Salt is good.
just think like, how do people cook chicken that doesn't just end up boiling and curling up like an elf shoe? Because that's what would always happen. I'm like, this is gross. And then halfway through cooking, I'd be pouring it in the sink and taking it back, and then I pour more oil in, thinking that that might counterbalance it, and it just always turns out like gray rubber. And I'm like, I don't.
Nope. You gotta get the right heat. You gotta take it off right as soon as it hits 150. Oh,
We're gonna have to try this tomorrow night. After all the
155.
talk about like burgers and
Let a
steak and
rasp come up
everything,
top. Yeah.
I'm gonna.
If you wanna make a really good fried chicken, I can tell you it's quite easy. But like not fried chicken in like the bone-in sense, like breast, like fried chicken breast, like a chicken parm.
Mhm.
I do it with lemon chicken all the time. So I do make
Uh,
lemon chicken over fettuccine alfredo, which is very
oh
good.
wow.
Or a lemon alfredo is quite nice. So I basically make it the same way. It's gonna just become a cooking stream. Those who are still here. Uh, so if you've ever had a schnitzel, they
Mhm.
have a lemon reduction sauce that goes on one side of it to make one side soggy and one side crispy. You can have pork schnitzel, Wiener schnitzel, or you can have the chicken schnitzel. Japan also has this idea with their fried chicken, their kage. Uh, so you can have one side that's in the liquid that softens, and then one side that's really crisp that doesn't have it, but the flavor
Mhm.
soaks all the way through. So I make a very good thin chicken breast that is fried in peanut oil or olive oil, and then I glaze this one side of it with just raw lemon juice. Then let that dry. That will have a nice little texture to it. So whenever you bite through, you get three textures in your mouth. It's very nice, and it also spice the breading. So you have seasoning on the
Mm.
breading. You have lemon that both softens it, moistens it, and gets it to just the perfect consistency. And then I also, whenever I'm making Malfredo, I do a splash of lemon juice while it's getting close to finishing, both to like add some brightness and the citrusness to it, but to cut the fat because Alfredo is very fatty. If you do it too
Mm.
early into the process, you can curdle the cream and milk. Um,
Mhm.
you don't want to do that. So yeah, then toss it all together, serve it on top of it, just like schnitzel, but with pasta. And it's very good.
I don't know if
So
my wife is watching anymore, but Lala, if you're watching, we should probably have that for dinner tomorrow night.
it's really good. I highly recommend it. If the Islamic God cannot enter creation, doesn't that make him mutable? Mutablite? Because before Allah was everywhere, then he was nowhere after creation. Mutable is what I'm assuming you're trying to spell there. Yes. this. If the God cannot enter creation, doesn't that make him mutable? He was everywhere. Well, he's at his throne. He actually, like, the Islamic God is not actually immutable in any way. Like, if you read the tafsir, if you read the hadith, it just doesn't happen. Also, your wife said yes to the I can send you a recipe for the breading if you want. You can do a splash of
sure,
milk in your egg wash. Yeah, it's yummy. Anyway, I use panko crumbs for a really good crisp
Oh yeah,
crunch to
that
it.
stuff is so good.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah, the Islamic God, he is definitely not immutable in general. That is modern Islamic cope. The historic Muslim position is that God is in reality. He can come to earth. He can take forms. He can talk to us. He hears us. He comes down to hear prayers. He has a
He was
shin. He
in the
has
burning
hands.
bush, wasn't he?
He was in the burning bush.
Quranically. Mm.
In 2 different places in the Quran, Allah comes to earth. Surah 4, Surah 20. So both of those places, Allah is in earth talking to us for sure. How can God sleep? Why did Jesus cry? Yeah, brain dead arguments.
Your God pooped.
Your God pooped. Yes, he did. He demeaned himself to such an extent because of love. Imagine that. Like, how powerful is that? But
You know, it is kind of sad though, because you're hearing this from people who don't have a concept of love the way that Christians do. And
right.
I mean, it's not surprising that it manifests so violently so often. Which is very sad though. It's a very sad reality to exist in, where yeah, you've never really felt loved or have loved something else.
I'm eating an Armenian
Basilism.
brisbima.
Wait, isn't that like kind of like pastrami? Because I think I remember asking my grandma about that and saying, is that where we got the word from? Because it looked so linguistically similar.
I have no idea.
Estirma. She makes
Oh, whenever I googled it, it just said pastrami. That's funny.
Okay, dried beef. Okay, yeah, that's what I thought. Yeah, because she was telling me about that, and she still has a very heavy German. It's so tasty. You have to try it. And so I looked it up, and I was like, oh, is it just like it's just pastrami? I know what that's like, Grandma.
Okay. So, do we want to try to finish 23 or do we just want to
How much do we
call it? I don't want
have
you to.
just to
We're
risk
at 8 out of like 30. 33.
maybe if you want to continue on, Chris, maybe I'll head out and try to get into my wind down period so I can get to bed a little bit
No,
on
I gotta go to sleep
time.
too.
But okay.
We'll probably just call it. Especially because I don't want to run through, because I would run through it myself. I don't want to run through the angel of the Lord stuff with Jesus's name
Oh
being an
yeah,
angel.
yeah.
Like, there's so much important stuff there for Christianity. Yeah. So
So we'll
we'll
see
just
you
call it
back here next time, folks, for part 3. Don't touch that
here.
dial. There's no dials
Will hopefully
anymore
be
on
less
anything.
food talk. Don't touch that dial.
Or a little more.
Uh,
Chris, just the whole time you're just like cooking chicken parmesan. It might keep us a little
that'd be
bit
pretty
more on
base,
track, because
right? Then
that'd be
I'd be
pretty
cooking
cool.
and like, yeah. So I'd love to do live streams with that. I just don't have the setup.
Mm,
And I also don't have like an editor switching between the cameras actively
right,
with
right.
me. So I'd have to get like my wife to do it. But if my wife is here, my kids are going to be here, then I can't do it because my kids are going to be here. Anyway, I just need like a cooking studio. That'd be pretty cool.
Yeah.
But for the salt tip for your chicken, when you salt your meat, you have to wait like 15 minutes for it to fully extract the liquid. And you have to do like a good bit of salt. Like a
Okay, so I
layer of
do
kosher
this
salts.
when we buy steak to get the blood out and stuff. Well, I
Right.
use kosher salt, and I let it soak for about an hour.
Yeah.
And
You don't have
like
to
to
do it
where
that
it looks
long,
like
but
it's
yeah.
okay. It looks like it's, like covered. It looks like an igloo base or like a it's crystallized in salt.
Yeah.
And we lay out all the
Yeah.
steaks and we get them salted on sides and front and back, and then I rinse them and then dry them off with paper towels. And then it's really surprisingly, uh, it's it tastes really good. Uh,
Yeah. There people are saying
yes,
thank you and may the grace of the Lord be with you. Yeah.
yeah, and
Stay
you
away from
guys.
Islam. God bless
Yeah.
everyone. Yeah. Yeah, for the salt thing, I usually butterfly my chicken, pound it thin. Pound your chicken before you salt it, because otherwise you're gonna make a disgusting mess whenever you pound it. Get a mallet if you
Oh,
don't have
yeah.
one. Pound your chicken thin, thinner than you think it needs to be, and then salt it generously. Wait like 15, 20 minutes. But I usually am like making the the station. So you have your flour, your egg, your breadcrumbs. So I'm
Mm,
like doing all of the seasoning and spicing and mixing the eggs and scrambling them and adding pepper and salt and like everything else that needs to be done while that is like resting with the water being extracted. And it only takes 15 minutes because it's so thin. The thicker the meat,
okay,
the longer it takes. So if you pound it
okay.
super thin, like literally like quarter inch, if you pound it
Mm,
super thin, then the salt comes out pretty quick. So, but then that makes super tender meat. Whenever you cook it, it's very juicy.
awesome. I'm excited.
Yeah. Anyway, so I'll hear your praise report from your chicken endeavor for next week.
Yeah.
But yeah. As for everyone else, thank you for coming out for being a part of this interesting stream all over the place. Hopefully you learned something. Hopefully you enjoyed it. But thank you, Stephen, for coming out. It's always a pleasure talking to you.
Thank you, Chris, for having me, and thanks to our wonderful God who brought us together and brings all of us together and is with us wherever we go, to the end of the world.
Amen. Excited to spend eternity uh, talking about cooking tips. So
Yeah.
may the grace of the Lord Jesus Christ, the love of God, and the fellowship of the Holy Spirit with you always. Thank you for coming out. Laila Tov.
Lalatov.